welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the Yerky Boys. I always say we got a big episode. I feel like I've been like, oh man, this is a big one. This is an exciting one. And I think usually I'm lying. But this time it actually is this is a pretty hype book. This is the Ellimist Chronicles.
That's right, which was released in October 2000.
Yeah, it should be the same as the last book, right?
Same as the last book.
We're doing the first part of this. This is First Life, right?
Yes, which is roughly the first half of the book. Even though I believe there are 3 lives.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, there are 3 lives, and then there's like 2 more chapters, like Endgame and Epilogue or something, whatever, who cares?
Right, and we're also to have a prologue this week as well.
Yes, we're also doing the prologue. We're not going to skip the prologue, don't worry.
It'd be strange if we did. But yes, this is the final book of the season.
Yes.
It is also the final Chronicles book of the series.
And it's an Ellimist Chronicles, right? Ellimist is pretty crazy already. We're getting a whole Chronicles about this guy.
Well, I'll just say right at the top, we kind of said it last week, but if you've got emails or thoughts on the Ellimist Chronicles or this season as a whole or anything in this season, send those to us, email them to us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. We've got a couple emails in the chamber, but we are saving them for the season recap in a couple weeks because there's just too much stuff going on in this book, and we don't have time to do an email. Unlike most weeks when we do have time to have a 3-hour long show, this time we don't.
Well, I think the second part of this is a little bit ambitious, so we won't have time then. But we might have time for emails now, as long as they're not about the season.
I just told you they are. Okay. No, we are saving them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just think maybe we still have a little bit of time.
We don't have any fucking time. This is all we are focused this week. Ellimist Chronicles. That's it. Ellimist Chronicles, top to bottom, start to finish, back to front, inside and out. Up and down, nothing but Ellimist.
Did you say where they can email us? I wasn't listening.
Theyerkyboys@gmail.com. You can also find our Patreon at patreon.com/theyerkyboys. If you want to support us and they like what we do, $5 a month gets you bonus episodes.
Wow. All right.
Now we can start.
This is, okay, so...
How do we start?
I guess, so this is a KA. Been a while since we've done a KA.
She's back, baby.
She's back. She is back, all right. The
bitch is back. It's a Billy Joel song. I'm not. I wouldn't really call her that.
Be like
I'm saying it in a way of like, oh yeah, like look at you, you're a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Like I'll let the listeners decide if what you're doing right now is acceptable.
Like I'm taking ownership of it on her behalf. Like, oh yeah, the bitch is back, baby.
I'll ask her if she appreciates it when we get her on for the Q&A.
Is it Billy Joel or is that Elton John? Did I fuck up? That's Elton John, isn't it? The bitch is back.
I think you're right.
I fucked up.
It's fine.
Anyway,
but yes, this is her. I mean, listen. She's only going to do the last couple of books of the season after this. Sorry, I think maybe it's the last. I don't remember if it's the last or the last 2. I'd have to check. But the point is, the only other books she has left for this series are books where she really kind of has to be at least a little bit on topic. She has to, like, write stuff. This is her last chance to kind of go wild. So she does go a little bit wild in this book.
It's interesting because you say that as if it's a foregone conclusion. Like that isn't, not having read Ellimist Chronicles before reading this, I wouldn't have said, oh, this is her chance to screw around. To me, it doesn't seem like that should necessarily be the goal of this book. Like it feels like this should be a book that answers questions and does something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but like, think about all the other times that, like, think about book 26 when she finally explained, like, what's going on with, like, Krayak and the Ellimist, and that was her chance to talk about the escort.
Sure. Sure.
We just know who, listen, I just know who she is at this point. We know what, there's going to be some stuff to talk about.
Yeah. 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 I mean, here's what I kind of
Yeah.
want to say a couple things off, like just off the bat.
Okay. And remember that we're only halfway through. So,
Right. This is only the first half of the book. I have not yet read the second half.
yes.
Should we talk about the cover first, or do we do general thoughts?
Whatever you want. It sounds like you've got a general thought you want to get out there. So
All right.
just lay it
All
on me.
right. I'm just going to say this because I think
Mhm.
this is something I could save for the end, but I feel like it's good to have it to color today's conversation.
Sure.
And you said it, the fact that we've only read half of the book. I think that's important because what I will say is of the Chronicles books we have read, this is the fourth.
Hmm.
I would argue the third because I don't think Visser should count because it doesn't say Chronicles, but that's fine.
It counts.
Right. So, yeah, it shouldn't though. All of which we have also split into at least two parts, right? I think Andalite Chronicles was 3 and the rest were 2.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Hork-Bajir was 3 as well.
Oh, Hork-Bajir was also 3. Okay.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm misremembering, but I think all of those books, after having read the first half or even the first third, I felt like I had a grasp on my feelings about the book.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it may be the second half, like I think the second half of Visser I didn't quite like as much, but like I still kind of knew how I felt about it, and also knew like where it was going to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Having read the first half of this book, of all of the Chronicles books, even though it would not be possible or logical for time reasons, I kind of feel like this might be the one that I really wish the most I could just have read the whole book to talk about it. Because I feel like not only do I not 100% know how I feel in terms of how much I like this book or not, I also have no idea. It seems like the second half of this book may completely recontextualize everything I've read, maybe a complete tangent and have nothing to do with what I've read. Might continue those threads completely. Maybe it follows very logically from it. But I don't feel like I understand right now what this book is about.
Mm.
And you may in your head be saying, no, you know what it's about. Or you might be saying, you're right, you have no idea what's coming. I don't know. The fact that each chapter is referred to as a life
Mm-hmm.
makes me feel like they may be wildly different in tone or setting. But this feels like the most elusive book to me in those terms. So I have a feeling that the things that I say about the first half, I may completely contradict or change my tone on next week. I don't know. This is a weird book, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, maybe there's a part of me that just wants to have you experience it as it is, but I think it might actually be helpful to kind of ground it. It wouldn't be crazy to say that like this first half of the book is kind of establishing who this guy is, and then the second half is more concerned with the real question you want to know, which is what the fuck is an Ellimist? How is this guy the Ellimist? How did that happen? So
Right.
like that, all of those questions that of course you have going into the Ellimist Chronicles, none of that is really like here yet. Like at all.
Yeah.
Which it's understandable why you're saying I have no clue where this is going. Yeah, I do think like when I'm going through this book, a lot of these other Animorphs books, I'm looking at them like in a much more allegorical way, and I'm like, oh, like Hork-Bajir Chronicles, right? Like you've got all these things to say about war and blah 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 blah, fighting for freedom and da da da. Whereas with this one, it's a lot more like as I go through it, especially this first part, a lot of it is just like, boy, look at this crazy world and like idea that she came up with, and I kind of just want to like interact with it and experience it and talk about it. Like I don't have like greater themes. Like there are some, but it's not as much that. Um
Yeah, it's a lot of world building.
yeah.
A
And
lot, a lot.
now I will say I here's the thing. Um when I was a kid, and I've said this in a lot of the other books, at this point I was fairly checked out from the series. Like I was kind of just like, all right, there's the new one. I read it. When's like when are we going to get to the ending? But this book I loved. I read this book a lot. I thought I really enjoyed it, and a large part of it is because of just like all the wild stuff she does. That's like, oh man, look at this like full complete like totally new, this first half could just exist entirely absent animorphs, and it would
Mhm.
be its own thing.
It makes perfect sense that you would have loved this book as a kid.
Hmm.
You specifically.
Hmm.
I did think while reading it, did any other child like this book? This to me so far more than any other Animorphs book does not feel like it was written for kids.
Interesting.
Oh,
If I feel like people liked this like a lot, as or at
yeah,
least
maybe,
Animorphs heads. Maybe
maybe
that's
I'm
something about the fandom.
underestimating. Yeah, maybe I'm underestimating like the I don't know. I don't know if it's intelligence level, but a little bit. Like I do think, and I whatever. For getting ahead of ourselves, who cares? But I do think there's just on a basic level, the vocabulary of this book is, to me, far more advanced than any other Animorphs book.
Hmm.
And that's including both made up words and real words. I think there's way more like just stuff you have to comprehend. It is even compared to the densest Chronicles book. I think this is far denser than anything else we have read, and I feel like someone younger than even like 13. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been 13 in a while. Maybe I'm being too unfair to young teens or something, but I feel like this could be a struggle for kids in a way that the first, Animorphs books are not.
Hmm. I mean,
I
I
don't
would have
know.
been 11 by the time this book came out.
So
This is not
that's
the
like I said, I feel like you're an outlier. That's why I can't I can't judge by you because I know you were a
well,
weird little nerd.
I mean, I was just thinking like that's relatively old because like when I was first starting this series, how old did I say I was? I was like just about to turn 8 or something. Is that what I
Yeah.
said?
Yeah, probably. That's
I
crazy.
don't
Yeah.
remember. But yeah, like maybe I was 8 and about to turn 9. I don't remember, but I was young. And so I feel like there's such a huge like developmental gap between the age when I think about when I started reading this series and when I like finished reading this series. So I don't know. I think of myself as relatively old by the time this book came out, at least in terms of like what am I reading, what am I thinking about, what kind of
But I would
person I am.
argue, I don't know if you would agree with this. To me, the initial Animorphs books, at least like the first season or two,
Hmm.
feels like the target, like the ideal age is like 11 or 12.
Hmm.
And
Interesting. Yeah.
then as you go, maybe they start to skew older. But
It's hard to say because I do feel like the first couple books are longer, and I think that they are I think the language gets simpler as you go on, but the themes get more
mm,
intense. So it's like
mhm.
it's weird. Like I feel like the some of the later books are actually like more approachable for younger kids, but like less acceptable for them to be reading.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well,
I,
we're
I don't
reading
know.
this. Yeah, I mean, these are all. It's a weird book. That's just what I'll say. It's both. I mean,
Yeah.
I did not going into this. I had no idea what to expect because
Yeah.
this is a thing. I mean, talk about playing the long game. The
Hmm.
Ellimist shows up in what book
Book 7.
5,
Yeah.
7? I mean, and we really, I think at multiple points I commented on what I felt was restraint on the part of K. Applegate that Ellimist doesn't show up that often.
Hmm.
But I mean, at this point, it's almost the opposite problem, where it's like, it's crazy that in real time, this is what, like 4 years or something from knowing who this, from being introduced to the idea of this figure to
Hmm.
finally having an explanation of what and who the fuck he is and what he does and how he fits into all this. That is a, I don't know if that's something to be applauded, like, wow, crazy to be keeping this for so long, or if it's just that she just didn't fucking know what to do until she was forced to come up with something. I
Yeah, I
don't know
mean,
what the answer is.
I kind of feel like it's sort of like the second, but maybe less. Like you make it sound like she's like, "Oh no, I don't know what to do," and that makes it sound like she really is worried about it. To me, it feels more like I have this cool idea. What if there's this weird like trickster space god thing? Okay, cool. We're done with that. Oh, well, I could use him again. Oh man, what if I used him again? I got an idea for how he could work. What if okay, what if there's a Krayak and then, 19 books later she writes that. And then she's like, okay, that's pretty good. Maybe I'll use him again. At some point, I'll probably write out the story of what he is, right? Maybe. If I get an idea, if I get the book, we'll get to it. And then here she's like, all right, I got a book for it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I haven't read the fucking second half, so
Mhm.
I'm just so, I really don't know how this fits into the current timeline of Animorphs.
Mhm.
Because I mean, the last, Visser was directly in the chronology,
Mhm.
whereas the other two Chronicles books weren't, and we're just so close to the end game, as we keep repeating that every episode, that I'm just
Mhm.
like, how does this mesh? What the fuck's going on? But that's something we can discuss later into next week. So I think that's enough for my opening preamble here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that was actually worth talking about. Is like, like what, like I think that's important going into this because as a kid, just like you, people don't like nobody knows what the fuck an Ellimist is beyond what you already know when this book comes out. So like as a kid, you're basically asking all the same questions you are. What the hell is this guy? What's his about? What's going on? You have no clue where she's gonna go with this. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I've been
let's
looking forward to this book for a long time. Knowing it existed, it's been like, what is that gonna be?
yeah. Let's talk about this cover.
Yeah. So you tell me to describe the cover for the listeners.
Okay, so the outer cover here, it says, it's got the Animorphs thing. It says the Ellimist Chronicles. Ellimist is in big letters and they're like kind of sparkly.
Mm,
Behind that we have this like swirling gray blue mist, and
mm.
there's a weird old guy with like a robe standing there, and he's got like sort of like a gnome dwarf face with like big pointy ears and like super long hair and beard. It also says watch Animorphs on TV, of course.
So are you not going to tell me that guy's the Ellimist?
Presumably, okay, so here's the weird thing. Well, no,
Yeah.
actually, maybe we'll talk about this more when we get into the book, but like, yes, presumably this is the Ellimist, right? Like,
That's
how,
what I
who the
presume.
hell else would this be?
It's his chronicles.
It's kind of weird because, like, the form that we first see him in, which I guess is his true form, isn't really described as looking anything like this. This is,
Hmm.
if anything, closer to it seems like how he's supposed to appear to the Animorphs. Like when he shows up in front of them and he looks like a weird, wise old man or something,
Yeah, yeah.
because that's the form that like, they would, like, I don't know, respect or understand or expect him to be.
Classic, yeah.
But it is kind of weird that he looks so, like, he's more gnomey than like Merlin-y. I think they usually describe him as having like glowing blue skin. He doesn't have that here. I guess
Hmm.
I mean this is a way that the Ellimist might appear to you. I don't know. This is an artist's depiction of what the Ellimist might depict himself as. Maybe.
So this cover, again, more than anything else, to me evokes. This looks like you could have ripped this right off the shelf of a 1950s sci-fi section in your used bookstore.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, yes. Back if you go back to when there were like the genre wars over like what counts as sci-fi and what counts as fantasy, aren't those isn't sci-fi just kind of like fantasy? Are these different? This is exactly the sort of thing you'd get with that, right? Where he's like a little bit wizardy and gnomey, but like also it's a little bit like he's got the space thing, maybe he's a sci-fi thing. It's that exactly.
Yeah, it also sort of gives me romance novel vibes. I think it's the mist and the
Mm.
I don't know. It's got a little bit sensual, this cover.
Well, there might be a
But
little bit of romance and sensuality in what we're about to read here.
that's true. That's true. But going back to what you were saying, and part of it looking and feeling like a classic sci-fi novel cover. Also, it feels in character for that, for the art on it to not necessarily reflect what's inside of it.
That's
Right?
true as well.
Like, this
Yes.
is just a thing. Just draw a thing that looks cool and that will be evocative and get people's attention. And is it going to be in the book? I don't know. It's just like some cool shit. Maybe it kind of looks like it. I don't know.
Here's like a shirtless guy with a laser gun shooting a T-Rex, and there's a evil wizard Merlin in the background, and there's like a sexy
Yeah.
lady who he's carrying like a damsel, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Is
it's the
that what's in
cover
the
of
book?
Mega
Maybe.
Man. Yeah. I think that's in Megamorphs 2 that happens.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I know, what's it called? Not Back to Before. Is that one Back in Time or
Uh,
something?
that one
Doesn't
is
matter. It
in the
doesn't
time of
matter.
dinosaurs, or
Okay, sure.
of the dinosaurs, or something.
Sure,
I
sure,
don't
sure,
remember if
sure.
there's a the.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have. Now, maybe they're in there somewhere, but like they definitely have wings, right? These guys.
Yeah, they got wings, they got quills. He's supposed to be young. Here he definitely looks old.
Well, that's what I thought is, I'm assuming that, yeah, this is modern day Ellimist, whereas in this section of the book, he is young Ellimist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to tell you the section of the book he is supposed to have 2 arms, 4 eyes, 4 wings, 2 legs is and quills. Quills are like a huge part of it. Big colored quills. It
Yeah.
doesn't look anything like this.
Yeah, I feel like I really glossed over the descriptions of these things. It's like, I
We'll
don't
get
know.
to
It's
it.
that thing on the cover with wings, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool cover. I love the font for Ellimist.
Hmm.
It is something I just saying everything that comes to my head immediately. The fact that it's called the Ellimist Chronicles,
Hmm.
and up to this point, you look at the Andalite Chronicles, the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, both about a species of things that are
Mhm.
named in the title. It's like, so Ellimist, is this a species? It's just one guy, kind of. So it's just a little weird, that convention. I don't know. Is it meant to be
Mhm.
misleading? Is it meant to be like a twist, a play on it, or
Well, I mean, this is the thing that we've talked about, and we won't really be able to
yeah?
talk about it more till the second half. But like,
Oh boy,
why do we
I'll
sometimes
try.
refer to him? Why do we sometimes refer to him as like the race of the Ellimists, and sometimes he's the Ellimist? Uh, and I'm like we said before, the answer is that Kay Applegate didn't really know what she was doing until she did. Um, but like we'll talk about how well what that means and how well that works when we get to the second half, I think.
Okay, I'm sure I will attempt to bring those things up, and you will probably say that you can't say anything about it yet. But also,
Sure.
why are his sleeves so fucked up? They're all tattered and shitty, and he's got big ass shoulder pads. What is this weird robe?
Shoulder pads are sci-fi. Now, the
Right,
fact that it's all tattered is kind of like I guess that's supposed to make him look old and wise because his
but
clothes are
only
old
the
and falling apart.
sleeves. Like, what, the rest of it looks
Yeah.
pretty
I
good.
mean, his robe is like coming out of the mist, so he's like half mist.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's kind of cool. It's cool. It's weird and cool, and it makes you want to see what the fuck this book is. So
Yeah. Nothing special on the back. It's just more of the weird swirling mists, and then it's got a little description on the back, and the description on the back basically says, "Hey, remember the Ellimist? You know what an Ellimist is? No, you don't. But if you read this book, you might find out." That's basically what it says.
no promises. $5.99.
$5.99, man, back in the day. $6.99
Crazy.
Canadian.
Yeah.
I remember thinking these were like kind of expensive because like the regular books were $3.99.
That is truly nuts. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of
Inner
that.
cover.
Inner cover.
Same guy, same swirling mists. This time he's looking up, and
Holy
we
shit.
can see projected the faces of the Animorphs above him.
This is the first time I'm looking at this.
And
This is wild.
on the other side, it's like a blank cover, and it says, "This is where it all began." ...
What's it?
The story of the Yeerks and the Animorphs,
Or just the Ellimist? I don't know.
or the Ellimist.
It.
All
This
of it.
this inner cover is also like David Mattingly did this cover, right? I assume. Or
I think it was a different guy. I think it was the Chronicles guy.
Oh, I forget because they do have different. Is it always one guy for the Chronicles, or is it different?
Yeah, so this is Romas Koukalis.
That's okay. Sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, and he did the Chronicles. He did the Hork, Bajir, Andalite, and Visser.
Got it. So the 2 Chronicles books and Visser, and
yeah.
So that's kind of It's got that weird vibe to it. I couldn't tell you. I guess I can kind of make out that these are the Animorphs, but different artists, different technique. They don't.
Yeah. Well, okay. Look at the far right Tobias and get pissed off at him, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's the same kid I hate." Then you'll know.
Yeah. Well, because I also looked at that and thought that's Jake, right? So. The only, to me, it's like, okay, Rachel and Cassie, they're the pretty easy ones. The other 3, the boys, literally, those could be interchangeable. Like, I could not tell you which of those is which Animorph.
I think
No
Marco
chance.
and when Marco and Jake have to be Marco and Jake, it's easy to distinguish them. And I know who Tobias is because he's got that bad hair.
Is Marco the second from the left?
What? How is he not the far left?
I don't know. All
right, maybe I don't know.
I thought his hair looks a little bit longer. Maybe the second from the left. Those 2 faces look like nothing to me. Like they just look like generic ugly face. They don't bring to mind any. The only reason that Tobias does is because it looks like the shitty Slim Shady kid. but like.
I'm just thinking Jake's got like the more like square all-American jaw and like kind of like the wavy browner hair, whereas Marco looks more, I don't know.
I guess
he's got the darker hair.
I guess the Marco, his skin tone maybe is a bit darker too, but it's hard to tell because they're all in shadow.
Yeah, that is legitimately hard to tell.
If I could only see their lashes. Also, does this kid on the left have the biggest eyebrows of all time, or is that just a shadow? What the fuck's going on there? Same with Tobias on the right. The eyebrows look nuts.
At Jake, actually, the only one who has like normal eyebrows here is Cassie. Rachel's look like they're getting a little big there under her hair too.
She looks like she's morphing into a cat. I mean, that's just the humans, but Axe also looks fucking nuts.
Axe looks terrifying. He looked like that's a Visser 3.
Yeah, for sure. For some reason, are their noses always that differently colored? His nose is really prominent.
Well, he's been drinking. He's kind of a lush, our Axe.
I see. And his eye, his stock eyes are super slanted, like in an angry eyes kind of way. Don't write in with any. Please don't write in.
Outright, yeah. Okay. Well, listen. He's got that evil look. I do feel like that. Like we've looked at like those stock eyes before and been all, sometimes they look goofy and sometimes they look evil. These are evil ones.
Yeah. His ear also looks huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's way too big. That. Okay. All right. Come on.
Just a thought there. It does look huge.
Okay. I'm done with the cover now.
Okay.
Actually, no. I just want to say, it looks like the Ellimist in the inside cover is about to fucking sing a solo. Like, why does he look like he's like he's either like a princess, like a damsel waiting to be rescued, or he's got the spotlight on him and he's about to sing his yearning song on stage. It's weird. I don't know.
Put a pin in that.
Uh, okay.
Yeah, that was not what you were expecting me to say. Um,
Oh,
the inner flip thing in the bottom corner sucks. It's basically
yeah.
just the Ellimist on the cover, but he dissolves into smoke. It's not good.
Hmm. Yeah, that sucks.
Um, I just looked at the dedication. I didn't do that ahead of time here. It does also, it's in addition to the usual, it's dedicated to Kelsey Harper. I don't know who that is. I didn't look it up ahead of time. I didn't check. Anyway.
I also want to say, looking at the thumbnail of the cover at the corner of my eye, it kind of looks like there's a big egg on the cover because his hair behind him makes it look like it's this big oval shape. If you're not looking at it, it looks like a big old egg. kind of like it.
That's our Ellimist.
Okay, I guess we can start.
Let's get started. All right, so this book starts with a prologue. So we open this book from the perspective of the Ellimist. There is a dying human child, an Animorph, who is asking him if it was all worth it. And this dying Animorph is like, what the fuck's an Ellimist? I deserve to know after all the bullshit you put us through. And the Ellimist is like, okay, before you die, I'll tell you what's up with me and what an Ellimist is. And that is the framing device of this story, is that the Ellimist is telling a dying Animorph what the fuck his deal is.
A human Animorph.
A human Animorph, that's true. Now, we are fewer than 20 sentences into the book. I would like to stop here.
What do we... I don't know what to say about this other than speculating about things you already know the answer to. So
yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to talk too much about it, but also I want to separate this from the other part. I mean, like, so I'm going to call, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to call the child Grogu, so that I don't accidentally use pronouns or anything like that, because I don't want to do spoilers.
I'll just say it's a baby Yoda. It's Grogu.
Yeah, so Grogu. So, I do think that this is kind of a crazy reveal. And as a kid, this was a crazy reveal to me. That Grogu, we don't know who Grogu is, but Grogu dies, right?
Well, Grogu is dying. I don't know that they might. There's always a chance for that to be turned around.
That is true. We are doing Ellimist bullshit.
Right. Even without Ellimist bullshit, it doesn't say like, yeah, just, I just know as the general rule, if you don't see a body, they're coming back. And I'm like,
fair enough. Yeah, as a kid though, this like blew my mind. As a kid, I was like, oh my god. I was freaking out about it, and I do think like this is like there's a kind of promise here that we are in the end game, because it feels like, oh, this is probably like a big plot point thing coming up, and and maybe you actually know how you're going to end it, unlike the other books where it's like, okay, you're doing end game stuff, but like, are you actually planning an ending? To hear in this one, as a kid, I was getting the sense that like, actually, maybe you know what you're doing.
It's always reassuring. Yeah,
I don't know if you thought anything like that, but
I mean, it's so brief that it was just like, I just was like, yeah, I want to know what the fuck's going on too. Like, I didn't know what to think about it, because it just felt like, I guess they're gonna come back to this later. I don't know if this is in the future. Like, maybe this takes place during like the last book. Like, I assume it's not taking place right after the one we just read, because it'd be weird to just like kick in with a person dying and we didn't know why or how.
Yeah,
so it feels like a flash forward.
Yeah, it's certainly not off the last book, but you are right. You never know if this is like in the future or the past future. Is this like, oh, well, it's like when Tobias went back to acquire himself. So it is the future, but it's also the past. Yeah, no, there's no placement for where this is.
We didn't tell you about, actually, there was a first set of Animorphs that
could easily be.
I say that truly believing that there's a chance that might happen. But also I'm remembering a thing that's either is incredibly important or is a total throwaway that only I remember because I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
there was, I can't even remember what book it was anymore, but it was this season. Was it Krayak? I don't even remember where the fuck it showed up. Somebody kept talking about how Cassie, maybe it was during Megamorphs
Oh, is this? Yeah, I think
4.
this is the thing at the end of Megamorphs 4 you're thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, that like Cassie is gonna. There's like a cave that was very dangerous. It's and maybe someone. I think maybe he alluded to possibly other Animorphs dying too, but for some reason the Cassie in a cave thing stuck with me.
Actually, I
So
think the Cassie in a cave, I think, might have been Jake in 41. The problem is 41 and Megamorphs were like the same book, so I'm actually not sure which one he did that in, but
yeah. But anyway, so yeah, some of that stuff is swirling around, but it's really just for me. I'm
Mhm.
just like, all right, like
Yeah,
let's.
yeah.
I mean, it feels like this is truly for the audience, the reader as well. To like, we are asking the same questions. What the fuck are you?
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. And this is, I mean, so here's the other thing: is this is going to be the framing device of the book.
Uh-huh.
So this is kind of similar to Hork-Bajir and Andalite Chronicles, and I guess Visser, um, where like both of them kind of have this prologue that opens up. It's the classic Chronicles structure, right? Here is my Hirak Delest. Jerahemi is telling me a story. The Ellimist tells Grogu about what his deal is, and then in Visser, it's Visser 1 tells like her story, except that also we intercut with the present. And I think you didn't like that much.
Right. But yeah, I guess it's a classic now. It's what
That's
you
the
do.
way it is. That's how you know this is a Chronicles.
Right. It's a chronicling.
Yes, a chronicling. All
Okay.
right, so now let's get into the story here. Now that we've done the first like 2 paragraphs. All
Check
right,
and check.
first life. All right, we're gonna start talking about first life.
Oh boy,
So
here we go. Here
we
we go.
meet. We meet. Azure level 7 spar, extension 2 down messenger 41, otherwise known by his chosen name, Tumen, otherwise known by his game name, Ellimist. So, Ellimist opens up the game, Alien Civilizations, that he plays, and in this game, there are the Pengabans. So, the Pengabans are 6-legged. They're like skimmers. They have webbed feet to walk on the water and like a little head. They're intelligent to like the level of like a Stone Age civilization, and they live on a moon with a constantly overcast sky. On the planet below, there's the Gunja Wave. These are like four-legged, two-handed like rat people rodents. They are also intelligent, but they are hyper aggressive. So Tumen sends a mem to
Mems.
he mems Azure level 9 spar mast 3 right messenger 12, chosen name Redfar, gamer name Inidar, and he's like, I'll take the Pengabans, and they start playing. So
No,
the
the Inadar takes the Gunja wave.
yeah, Inidar takes the Gunja wave, of course.
Right.
So they start playing. The point is to like make the least possible change to accomplish some goal. So Ellimist makes the skies 10% clear for the Pengabans and is like, yes, this will send them toward progress and space travel or whatever. They speed up time, bunch of stuff happens. You know, it's like, oh, I'm watching the ecosystem go out of whack and the Pengabans evolve and their cultures start going, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they're all dead because the Gunja wave invaded and ate them all. It turns out that Inidar's change was to increase the reproductive rate of the Gunja wave, and he guessed the Ellimist would open the sky, so the Gunja wave overpopulated, saw the Pengabans, and went and ate them all. And so the Ellimist loses his game. Get ready, everybody, because all of the summaries are just going to be like insane info dumps because there's so much shit that happens.
Let me just start by saying this. Which is something that I didn't take note of or write down until later, but I think it's important to say it now.
Mm-hmm.
I read all of these on my Kindle as ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
And people who read ebooks will know, if you choose to have this option on, it will tell you how much time is left for you to read the book, and it bases that based on how fast you turn through pages. It like estimates your reading speed.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, a normal Animorphs book will usually like it'll start out and it might say like an hour, and then I'll start taking notes, so it slows down a little. So then it'll be like 90 minutes. So, usually it's like something like that to read,
Mm-hmm.
as I do for the show. This book, when I first opened it,
Mm-hmm.
said 2 hours to read. By the time I got through the first, I would say 2 or 3 chapters, with the amount of pauses I was taking to highlight, reread, and take notes, it said 4.5 hours. It more than doubled. Because almost every sentence, especially in the first, it weans off a little bit as we get going. It doesn't stay quite as dense by the time you get to the later parts of the first half, but
It'll pick up in the second half.
Good. There is so much information that it's just like, and it is not treating, even though with the framing device, it would be perfectly reasonable for the Ellimist to be saying like, oh, you're just an Animorph, so you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let me dumb it down for you. He doesn't do that. Mm-hmm. He's just like, so anyway, there I was with the panga bands, and I'm like, woof, hold on.
Yeah, so I think part of the goal with this chapter, based on how I read it as a kid, is that you come into this knowing that the Ellimist is playing this crazy space game with Krayak.
Yeah.
And, he's like using the Animorphs as game pieces and trying to play against the Yeerks and whatever. And so as a kid, when I'm reading this, my first thought is that like we're seeing a race of Ellimists. Like he's already doing that. Like these are just guys who live in space-time. The Panga bands are a real thing, and if they use tech talk, it's because they're still using tech and not space-time to do it, but they're doing this. And by the end of this chapter, you kind of realize, oh, this is just a simulation. This is just a computer game that he's playing. But like I think that it is supposed to trick you. You're supposed to, or at least that's my thought. Because as a kid, I was tricked. As a kid, the first time I read this, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might still be tricked. Because I think I ultimately, based on what happens later, came around to this. But I still was not clear. Because just to say, as we've kind of already alluded to, this first life does not... We don't even come close to Earth or Animorphs or any of the main plot.
Mm-mm.
I questioned / thought this is maybe what they were telling me, was that, or / I was afraid that this is what was happening, and maybe still was until what you just said, that the reveal here is that all of our universe is one big MMO, and that the Ellimist is the gamer, the only real being coming in, and the Animorphs are literally just everything on our Earth is a simulation, and this is all Ready Player One, or this is the Matrix, or this is all bullshit, and this is a Black Mirror episode, and this is the guy playing the game. What'd you say?
There's still time for them to reveal that.
Well, to my reading of it, they don't dispute that notion in this. Like, because yes, okay, that was a game, the Panga bands, but that doesn't tell me that Earth isn't also part of that game. I don't know where that line ends or begins. They do later reference Z space, which made me think like, okay, that's like a thing. So, but I don't know. Yeah, like this whole time I'm going, is like, what the fuck is this? Is this what this is? Are Ellimists just gamers fucking with us? I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, that is funny. Yeah, it is the book does distinguish very clearly that this game is entirely made up and not real and programmed. And they talk about that a little bit later. and that there is like a real world out here. But you are right, because it does not touch on Earth, this could easily be a Matrix situation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also not fully clear to me, these advanced beings, what does a simulated fake game mean? Like, is it they created it, but are they capable of creating actual sentient life within it or something? I don't know. I don't know what the
Yeah, I
fuck
mean,
their powers are.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I do think at the very end they you can draw the implication that that's not what's happening.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
based on some things that happen. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I so how do you feel about this game?
So, I mean, so right away, I mean, I'm getting Ender's Game vibes as well,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, not I won't spoil Ender's Game, but well, really, I guess I'm thinking of a different game, not the shoot the aliens game, but his game with the giant and all the weird shit you can do in that book. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
I see. I thought you were talking about the game at the end. That yeah, okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm saying, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
both. You could argue both, but
You could, yeah.
yeah, it feels like it reminded me of that. It's not certainly not in my wildest dreams would I ever have imagined the Ellimist Chronicles was about a big video game. That the central reveal of the Ellimist's character, as he will discuss more in depth even later on,
Uh,
is that he is a gamer.
yeah, he's a gamer. I didn't say it explicitly when I said his game name is Ellimist, but like using modern language, Ellimist is his gamer tag. The reason
That's
that he
right.
calls himself the Ellimist is because it's his gamer tag.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
It is, which it also took me a minute to fully grok that this was a young Ellimist. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess First Life is the clue there, but I wasn't totally sure. So I was like, then I also was like, wait, was the Ellimist always young? Are we gonna find out that he is just a 15-year-old fucking Ellimist? Because I hate that, but I don't. That's
Could
not the case.
be.
I don't think that's the case. But yeah, this is, it's strange because we think of the Ellimist as this wise Gandalf like fella, but here you're seeing him as kind of an axe like animorph
Mm-hmm.
like teenager who's likes
Mm-hmm.
frivolous pursuits and game playing.
Yeah, yeah. This is
I
this is
don't
baby Gandalf, except that that's not how Gandalf. This is like baby, I don't know, whatever,
Yoda?
Galadriel or something. Yeah, Yoda. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, and I haven't even like I haven't looked past page 1 yet.
I don't know if you remember, there was a when we were doing the personality quizzes to see which animorph you
Yes.
are.
Yes.
There was a bit where it asked like how you would spend your Friday night or your Saturday, and one of them was like, I would just stay
Oh.
in and play games, and that was like obviously supposed to be the you're the Ellimist answer. And
Wow.
and you had said something like, yeah, I'd been like, oh, that sounds like you, and you're like, yeah, but I don't think that they mean video games by that. And I said, actually, I think they do mean video games.
Oh my god.
I'm the Alchemist is a gamer.
Well, I do remember that I oh no, I didn't get him. You thought
I
I
think
got.
I got Tumen.
It's possible. I remember I got someone
I
else who
think
I
you
didn't
got.
know.
I think you. No. I thought you got Dak because I remember being really upset.
Yeah, well, we did more than one,
Oh,
so I
that's
don't.
true. That's
But
true.
I don't remember. But yeah, I remember learning the name Tumen through that
Tumen. It's
quiz.
his real name.
I certainly didn't learn the name Azure Level 7 Spar Extension 2 Down Messenger 41, which
You
the
won't have to
first,
know that one.
just the first sentence of this book, man. I had to get up and walk around for a minute. It's insane. Now, so basically, we can break this down. They will later on, but basically,
Mhm.
their given name it's like their address more than their name. It describes
Yeah.
like where they live.
Their like real name or whatever, yes, as you said, is basically their address or their station. It's kind of like their job in a way too, in a sense. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, their address. and then you get to, I guess, just choose your own name as well.
Right.
And then there's also this game, you can play games, and if you do that, you get to have a gamer tag.
Right. So yeah, he is Ellimists, nay Tumen, nay the rest.
Yeah.
And then you get the Panga bands, you get the Gunja. I mean, we could spend 45 minutes on the Panga bands and the Gunja wave. There's
But
so much about what they look like, what their ecosystem is,
Yeah.
how they evolve, their intelligence levels, everything. Well, the Panga bands, the Gunja wave, we only know from afar, but
yeah. Here's the thing. I kind of love this game. Like, I'm
yeah.
not sure I get it exactly. Like, what's the win like, I'm not entirely sure what the win condition is, or like, you've got to do it in the minimal way possible, but like, do you have resources? Or do you just do whatever you want, but you're supposed to do it minimally? I don't understand any of that, but I still love this game.
I see it as kind of it's a little bit like Spore, if you remember Spore.
I do remember Spore. I have a note about Spore here.
Oh, interesting. Do you
Yeah,
want to say it now?
I guess. I mean, I was gonna say, like, I think if I had to build like what I think my ideal game as a non-gamer would be, it would be like, take the creature creator from Spore, just that, and then take like Subnautica, but without the exploring or building or story. Like, literally just, or I'm not exploring, but without the building or survival or story. Like, literally just make a bunch of weird animals that all have all of these like different statistics and whatever, populate a world with them, and then go explore all the animals that you put in it. I'm kind of boring that way.
Pokemon
But like,
Snap.
Yeah. Sea Life Safari.
Yeah, well, we find out later on that the name of the game is Alien Civilizations.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I clearly also thought it seems like an obvious comparison to Sid Meier's Civilization.
Yeah. Now, when did the first Civilization come out?
Oh, I think it was out by this time. I think that was
Okay.
mid to late 90s. That's been around for a while.
Yeah, I thought it was. I wasn't sure exactly, but
yeah, so it's kind of like that, except maybe a little bit less directly competitive. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because it's like, what does everyone play it the same way? Maybe it's so open ended that there's different things you can do, but or at least maybe not less open ended, but less. It makes you less proactive because in Civilization, like, you're clicking and affecting every little fucking corner and facet of the world. Whereas here, like you said, he's just, let me just do a little, let me just push this little smidge right here, and then fast forward a million years and see what happens.
Yeah, but it's weird because it doesn't feel like that's actually enforced by the game so much as
right. That's
we'll
like,
find out.
You get more points for that, I feel like, or it's like more impressive.
Something. Yeah, I don't know. It's we can talk about that when we get to it, but yeah, no, it's interesting. I do think it's interesting that this is the game that Kay Applegate came up with, because like, she's not a gamer, and this feels, I don't know, a lot closer to, like, I feel like if you're in the late 90s and you're not a gamer and you want to be like, okay, they're gonna play a game. What's the game? It's what she says and all the other. It's like, oh, they played Doom or something.
Right.
Right. Like, you're not being like, oh, I've heard of that Civilization game. What if it's like that? So like, I get, like, this is her. She needs to write something that sounds like what the Ellimist is doing with the Animorphs, so that you have that tie-in or whatever. Like, I'm curious where this idea came from and how it got there, because in some ways it feels like a very modern conception of a game.
Yes, I agree. I looked it up. The first Civilization came out in 1991.
Okay,
so
way
it is
before,
very
yeah.
possible that maybe like she or someone in her family had this on their computer, and like, so she was aware of it. But also, yeah, like you said, it almost sounds like a No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous, these modern kind of exploration games that are sort of just, hey, or survival games, like, go run around and kind of do stuff and see what happens. It does feel a little bit ahead of its time, which is two of their to the book's credit
Hmm.
for, an alien future. Well, I don't know if it's the future. I don't know what the fuck, how time works relative, but more advanced than our civilization, I suppose. But it's also, I mean, it's also I guess this is a typical kind of a trope, but there's only the one game, it seems. It's not
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
this game's so good, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. Like nobody fucking plays anything else. It's just
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it is kind of interesting because, like, I feel like it doesn't have to. You could read that it's not like that because they do talk about how, like, oh, at some point they'll come out with a new game and blah blah blah, and this is the most advanced game yet. So, like, there is this idea that there are other games. So this could just be like
Um
the current Elden Ring or the current World of Warcraft or wherever you want to go. And so all the like big name gamers are like, this is the one I'm devoting my life to right now. This is the game. This is what we do. You
mm.
could read it like that, but it doesn't on its own read like that. It reads like what you're saying, that like this is the game.
This is the game. This is the game. Yeah. So at this point, I did just think, okay, I guess Krayak and the Ellimist are just competing gamers.
Hmm.
Which they kind of already said. Like we already know they have used this language before to describe what they're doing as a game with rules.
Hmm. Yeah, we do know that they are competing gamers because, in some sense, because yeah,
Yeah.
as you said, like they have said we're playing a game. They have said it'll take millions of years. They've said there's rules. Ellimist is calling himself Ellimist and not Tumen,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
this is a game.
Yeah. I'm like, is Krayak really Blogo, who's really pink level 6 spar, whatever? I don't know.
Maybe
Uh,
Krayak is Inidar. Well, we'll find out that's probably not true soon, but
yeah, like Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, classic best friends to enemies trope. Anyway, there is a lot of good vocab and
Mhm.
terminology and slang words here. Like one I didn't even really pick up on until later. He likes to say that things are breezy.
Yeah, yeah.
Just just could mean that it's like just cool, or I think maybe it just means cool. That's breezy or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, yeah, because they do have wings. We'll
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
about them soon, but yeah, I do. This whole section is written, and I think you were talking about this at the beginning in terms of it being dense. It is very much written from like Tumen's perspective, in the sense that he doesn't explain things that you would expect to be explained, even to the degree like even in the Andalite Chronicles, where we're talking from Elfangor's perspective, you already know what an Andalite is, and he's mostly just talking about it. But occasionally, I feel like I think there's a lot more instances where they just give you a little bit information about like how do officers behave here, or like how does tailblade fighting work, just to like throw you a bone. And here they like really don't. He's just got like, what's a mem? You can figure it out from context, but he's not going to tell you. He's just going to talk about memming people. Like what exactly do these guys look like? He's not really going to describe you. He's just going to like use phrases and idioms, and you'll figure it out. That kind of thing.
And not only that, but before he even, as you're not understanding what Ellimist stuff is, he's also describing two completely different, equally weird alien races that
Yeah,
you're like, what the fuck is happening?
yeah. Well, these ones he has to describe because they're fictional. They're in the game. He doesn't have to describe the real one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. Memming, as you said, is pretty good. There's this I like this. He's kind of quotes what must
Mm,
be a famous idiom in
mhm.
Ellimist culture. Well, step into my lair, said the Dreth to the Corcant
Oh,
or the
I always said, yeah, I always said
Chorkant.
chorkant.
I'm
Said
thinking
the
core
dreth to,
like chord or chorus, but I don't
yeah,
know.
to the. I'm gonna keep saying.
You've always said.
So here's the thing. This is not the only time. This is the only time this shows up in the first half of the book. This phrase will show up again in the second half of the book. Step into my
God.
lair, said the dreth to the chorkant. So I remember this phrase. This is my tail feathers grow back of this book.
Oh boy.
I like
Oh
this phrase.
boy.
The context of it is fun too, because this is when Inidar is like, Ellimist, you're always too like much of a idealist and pacifist. Like you don't understand being aggressive and violent. And Ellimist is like, oh yeah, step into my lair. Like it feels like the equivalent of like step into my lair, said the rabbit to the fox or something like that. I think it's fun. I
Yeah.
enjoy it.
It reminds me of that Star Trek Next Generation episode where he meets the guy, alien species, and they only speak in, what is the word for that? Not idioms. What would you call that?
I would call that.
Parables? Maybe, I
Oh, I
guess it's an
see.
idiom.
Because I would
don't,
call this an idiom, but yeah, I guess you could.
it probably is, but it's like a more specific thing. Whereas it's always like, whatever as the thing did to the guy.
Like
I don't know.
Yeah, like this probably is specifically referencing a parable in their like culture, like the tortoise and the hare or whatever.
Right, or it could be like a historical event, maybe. Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of highlights here, but I don't know if we need to go into them all.
Yeah, I don't think we do either. I do expect from now on that when you like invite me over and make me play a 9-hour campaign Lord of the Rings game, you know, I expect you to open the game with "Shall we immerse?" so I can say on the other side.
That is another good one that I liked. That's how they say "let's play."
It's great, honestly. I think you should just incorporate that into your board gaming.
Okay, I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna try to remember that one. Also, he, in addition to memming each other, which is like DMs, he also mems the game core.
Yes.
When he wants to interact with it. So it almost seems like he's like hacking it, like he's writing code and sending it to the game or something.
Yeah, it's like there's points where it feels like it's a DM or an email, and there's times when it feels like it's an instruction, and it almost feels like it's a more generic term like ping, except with like definite information attached to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
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 Okay. Let's keep going. Let's start talking about what the hell this is.
Let's find out what this is now.
Okay. So Tumin is a Ketran from the planet Ket. Okay. Ket is like the surface is covered in like acid seas and lava and all kinds of bullshit, and you can't live on it. The atmosphere is like super like thick and dense and filled with like radiation and all this other crap, but this allows giant crystals to form and float in the atmosphere. Ketrans live on the crystals. They feed on the crystals, but they also like perch on the crystals, and they have wings that they flap to give them lift. So the crystals can stay airborne while growing much, much larger than they would without the Ketrans. So you can imagine like hundreds of thousands of Ketrans on this like 10-mile wide crystal, all just like lazily flapping their wings to make sure that it can stay afloat in the air. And they like live and eat and die and whatever all on this crystal. They spend almost all their time at their assigned perches, so that the crystal stays aloft, because otherwise, whatever. They use the crystal for communication, so like all these memes and stuff that all goes through the crystal itself. And the crystal that Tumin lives on is the equatorial high crystal. Okay. Tumin starts a conversation with the older Ketran, who's his like perch neighbor named Lakava. They talk about like the game and shit, and Lakava doesn't care about it. He's not interesting. But then they also start talking about the Mapping Crystal Quadrant 3, MCQ3, or the MC for short, which is a new zero space ship that's being developed. And there's going to be an announcement soon for crew. Tumin is hoping that he'll be chosen as non-essential crew, which will be like randomly determined or whatever, I don't know. But Lakava reveals that he has already guaranteed a slot as third biologist on there, because he's like actually got his life together. And Tumen is like, damn it, I'm such a fucking loser. All I do is sit around and game all day. I could be out here making something of myself like Lakava. I got to get my shit together. I got to start studying. But then his scheduled free flight time comes up, and he's like, well, I'll be productive later. I'll go hang out with my gamer friends for now. All right.
Okay.
Ketran,
Ketran. Ket.
The lack of all of this stuff about their society, the spaceship plot, a lot.
You know what this book kind of reminded me of also?
Mm-hmm.
Another book.
Yeah?
It's called Grass. I get
Tell me
major
about Grass
vibes from this book. Just a similar kind of a thing where you're just descriptions of weird shit that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, is this... which parts of this should I know? Which parts of this are just there? And just the language, the sort of flowery language. I thought parts of it almost read as biblical, like in God, maybe more so when he's talking about the game, but this kind of like this, like, let there be light, and there was that sort of cadence, I suppose.
Huh.
I don't know. I'm a Bible head, so that's just sort of where I go to.
I do know that about you.
But I think that's generally, I feel like that fits with the Ellimist's speech patterns. Like, I think that makes sense for me. Just kind of has a weird lofty way of speaking, because he's this,
Maybe
to me,
a breezy way of speaking.
A breezy way of, yeah, sure. He's like this unknowable being that's more advanced than we are. I don't know why they are. I don't know where the R comes from. They're from the planet Ket. Shouldn't they just be Ketans? Why are they Ketrans?
I don't know. That's just what they call themselves. I mean, we're weird. We call ourselves humans, and this is Earth, so they can call themselves Ketrans if they want.
Sure. Okay.
Whatever they want to do. Who cares?
I guess that's fine. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Did we find out about the Uninet?
I think we did. Yes, we did talk about the Uninet, which is like,
yeah,
I guess it's like their internet through the crystal here.
Yeah, I mean, pretty clearly it's the internet, right?
Yeah, it's basically the internet. One thing I find kind of interesting is that, like, so they talk about how, like, background, I don't know if it's here, but at some point they talk about, like, background radiation makes it almost impossible for them to just, like, send radio waves out and receive them. But they're on this crystal, which I guess just is very easy to make function like some kind of fiber optic thing, and they all live on it and feed on it. So you get this very different technological path where, like, they can't do long distance communication between the different floating crystals, but they've got this, like, highly integrated, organized, like, internet programming society, because they literally just kind of live on a computer effectively. I think that is interesting. And also the fact that they have to spend like 90% of their time sitting in one place or else the crystal will fall. From a modern perspective, these are like you have a race of people that for thousands of years, basically all of them are just like social media kiddies. Like, they spend all their time on social media. That's where they do all their interaction, because you have to sit in one place and interact with the computer. That's all you get to do, which I think is kind of fun.
It is. I mean, I thought of Wall-E, but maybe a better comparison is, I don't know. A better comparison is like being in quarantine during COVID. Like, you're confined to one place. You can't go out anywhere. Or for this time period, I mean, I guess maybe you saw this kind of thing, I don't know, Tron maybe, or I'm sure there are some other like 80s sci-fi movies but all of those were like modern day or a typical kind of computer future. And because this is all set with the backdrop of Planet of Crystals, it feels very different and unique. I don't know that this planet is weird as hell. I mean, just
it really is. Yeah, and I think that Kay Applegate, if you're writing this in the 90s, you're not necessarily as aware of the implications because, like, you don't actually have a world in which just everyone's on social media now. Like, people younger than us are just like, yes, my entire life, basically, I've spent, like, I talk to my friends more online than in person. Like, when I was a teenager, that wasn't
Yeah.
true. But I think for most teenagers now, it's like, yeah, most of my communication is done online. That is weird. Like, if you're in the 90s, that's like not actually imaginable. The idea, like, things like COVID, just that just wasn't a thing. I feel like you might, like, I don't know how aware she was of the implications of what she was writing when she did this.
I mean, the fact that my references were what, Spore and like No Man's Sky shows how
Mhm.
old I am. The real point of comparison, I guess, should be Fortnite, because that's what kids do now. Like, kids don't, they don't have a fucking playground to go to. That's not really true, but like, so many kids, so much of their social life is just in Fortnite or possibly
Roblox or something.
Minecraft, yeah, or
Yeah,
Roblox,
all of
but
these.
like these games that are almost just there as just platforms to hang out more than they are
Mhm.
games. It's
Yeah, I do.
yeah.
They also have the term face here.
That's yeah, I don't know that I fully grasp. That just means
I think
literally face to face time.
Yeah, I think this is literally just like just imagine two nerds being like, I don't know, man, do we actually need to like meet AFK or can we just like hang out here? Like, it's that. There's no reason to do that
AFK.
or whatever.
Yeah. Face is funny. I mean, I relate a lot to Tumen. He
Tumen's
is
a
a
gamer.
he is a loser who just spends his whole life gaming. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Tumen. I didn't expect to be Tumen. I didn't think I would think I was Tumen.
Yeah. Well, you're the Ellimist.
I guess I am.
The Ellimist is a weird loser who plays video games and never made anything of himself.
Did kind of the question we asked earlier, but I really want to know. Did
Mhm.
Kay Applegate have some kind of a Bible? And now I don't mean in a religious sense. A Bible of the Ketrans? Like, how long was she planning this? Did she really just sit down and make this all the fuck up in a month to write this book? Or where did this come from? Because it is so extensive. I like this is like her own, it's like the fucking Silmarillion, this shit. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know.
So the last time we got a real, like, major world-shifting lore dump on the Ellimist and Krayak and everything was honestly book 26. Like,
Yeah.
we've met the Droid since then, we talked about some other stuff, but it hasn't really changed the status quo or been that important. There are enough contradictions between this book and 26 that I am 100% certain that when she wrote 26, she had no idea what she was doing in this book.
Makes
Like,
sense.
I'm clear on that, but that's still a lot of time to have started figuring this out. So when did she just say, like, oh shit, it's September, I got to put out a Chronicles next month and jam it all out, or did she have some of it planned for years? I don't really know.
This is why she needed ghostwriters. She's like, guys, I need about a year to fucking figure out Ket, okay?
Well, she also was writing Everworld, and I don't know exactly when she launched Remnants, but I don't think it was that far off. She wrote too much.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
many ideas, lady.
Yeah. She needs to, too many ideas. The title of her memoirs.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I think is pretty fun about Ketrans is that they're like extremely conservative, I think.
Mm.
There's Well, and we'll see more of it a little bit later, but like right off the bat, there's a whole thing where they're like, we have the tech, we have like engines and shit. I think he even talks about like anti-grav engines. And they're like, we could literally just put engines on all of our crystals and not have to flap anymore. Right?
Mm.
We just have like the fully automated gay space communism bullshit going on, right? We can just have this utopia. But like nobody actually wants to do that because then you wouldn't have to sit there and flap anymore. And like, where would there wouldn't be any social cohesion. It's very similar to like this like puritanical work culture idea of like, sure, we could automate all the food production, but then nobody would have a job. And where would that leave us? Type of thing.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's very funny.
I think you're right. I also read it as it made me think of like when dishwashers or something, like any new technology that's invented, and they're like, with this new future, oh, we're gonna have so much free time, but it turns out they just fill your life with other meaningless bullshit. So, like, to me, I feel like it's a trap. It's like, or not a trap, but just, oh, all this free time, now we don't have to flap, and they'll just be like, okay, yeah, here's some other menial tasks. Like, you'll never be free. But that's just my, having been beaten down by the capitalist hellscape we live in. What I assume would happen.
Yeah. I mean, here's something that I think might have been thought through in a little more interesting way if she had been aware of the future, is that like, so you have the ability to disengage and go meet face to face with people, and they're talking about like, oh, everyone would be so much freer and you could do this, you wouldn't have to sit there and flap. But like when you sit there and flap, you're engaged with the Uninet. So like you actually are probably doing more work because you're sitting around all day. Like if you did that, you would be free to do less work because you wouldn't have to be engaged with the Uninet all the time. Which I don't know. And that just feels a little bit different from how it's presented, but it still does follow this idea of like, oh no, what would happen to society if we weren't all forced into our roles? Obviously it would be a total breakdown. You can't have a utopia.
Yeah, well, we're gonna find out more also about when we meet the other clan.
Yeah, we'll find out some more about that for sure.
Yeah. How about this is Buddy Lakova?
Lakova is a fucking Reddit beard Redditor, I think. Can you like they talk about his fucking name and how you pronounce it and like how it's supposed to be? Like, is this not what should we call you? What do you want your name to be? Well, I think my name is going to be Lakova. Get it? Do you get it? And I think that fits his character. He does kind of come off that way.
But I'm still. This is one of those just K. Applegate things.
Mm-hmm.
Are these Kedrons speaking English? Like, is Lakova a pun in their language? Or
Lakova
what?
clearly is supposed to. Maybe Lakova is translated and Tumen
Right.
isn't, or maybe they're all translated because they don't speak a pronounceable language or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because he does, like, it's clear that it is meant to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lakova, like you said, literally chose this name as a joke. But yeah, I don't know. That's just one of those things that bugs me. But I just remember, I just think of like an Office Space when they can hear each other through the walls. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like this is. Hey, Tumen, man, Tumen, check out Channel 9.
That is pretty similar. Like that is basically, it seems like the relationship with the neighbors is just like, those are like the one or two people you can actually call out to while you're online.
Yeah, I like it. It was fun.
They are fun. How do you feel about his whole, again, this guy's a Redditor. I'm sorry. How do you feel about his whole speech where he's like, oh, games are boring because, like, if you just figure out all the rules and underlying assumptions the game makers have, then, like, you can just win every time. It's easy. Honestly, it's boring. It's far more interesting to do real science. What a fucking, shut the fuck up, you dumbass loser. I'm not even a gamer. That's the thing. I'm not even a gamer, and I know that, like, fuck you.
Yeah, it is a funny concept to be like, well, I read the rules, so I understand it. Therefore, there's no point any longer. Like, why would I engage with it?
With him, it's beyond just the rules. It's also the coding. Like, I understand how it's coded, so I know how to exploit the rule. Like, if or even just like you could understand it if you looked at it, because somebody else understood it because they made it. So it's boring.
Yeah, I must chart my own path, and that's it.
Yeah. I just still like Lakova.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I have any feelings about him one way or the other. Like, I really don't care. But whatever. I like this sentence. My shunt was going to bum out, or there's a burnout. It could be
I thought it was burnout, but
sometimes I have ebook typos.
Mm.
But my shunt was going to burn out from the load of educational memes I would download. just just get sentences like that sometimes, you know?
Yeah, yeah. They have shunts. That's how they engage
Or
with the.
like, okay, I guess this is next, but
Mhm. Um,
we'll get to the next part soon. Yeah,
we can move on if you're ready here.
at least I think this is next. Like when they start doing the next chapter when they start flying and
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
yeah. We've only done the first two chapters so far.
Yes, and I probably had as many notes as I do for like an
Yeah,
average full Animorphs book.
yeah. It's fucking crazy.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see how it goes. I think we'll be okay.
yeah. It'll be okay. So okay, so like I said, Tumen got his free fly time and all that shit. So he's off to see his friends. He flies off to go hang out with them and talk to them, and they're gonna also listen to the like crew announcement for the MC. He runs into Inidar. He also runs into a guy named Escabat, whose gamer tag is Wormer, and also a girl gamer named Dophnal, or Aguela is her gamer tag. And they all use their gamer tags with each other because they're gamers. Um,
Just like
so,
us.
just like us. So they're all like joking around and whatever. When the speaker shows up to give the announcements, he goes through some like bullshit, including this upcoming dance by with Polar Orbit High Crystal. Before he gets to the crew announcement, Wormer and Inidar are not selected, but Aguela and Tumin are. They're both going to be crew, so they're freaking out about this. Tumin goes back to his perch and he's like, hey Lakova, you're never gonna believe it. I got chosen as non-essential crew. And Lakova's like, yeah, I know, I recommended you. Because it turns out Lakova has been studying Tumin's games. And he's like, listen, Tumin, you're like actually one of the best players here. But your ranking sucks because you always try to do these like cool, interesting, altruistic, like suboptimal lines instead of actually trying to win. But it turns out I think you're actually really good. So he says, listen, we have all these brilliant scientists and techs and analysts and stuff. I thought what we need is a brilliant loser like you. Um, which I do like. And Tumen's like, all right. Well, now that I'm on this, I got to get serious about studying the ship in Z space so that I don't seem like an idiot. So it's time to like stop gaming and get real. Okay.
Get real.
Get real. Tumen and his gamer friends.
Another example of Tumen being ahead of his time, complaining about having to be online all the time and not wanting to get constant texts and alerts from everybody.
Yeah. The why don't you perch with us memes from the Dam and Sire.
Yes, and also right
I
there,
love that.
just to illustrate what I was saying earlier about how I feel the language in this book is a little bit, I mean, we've already illustrated it, but further down on this same page, a line about Aguela, I don't know how we're saying her name. Is that how we're saying it?
That's how I'm saying. How did you want to say it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Agula. Could be Agula if you wanted.
Or just
I just
Aguela.
thought Aguela sounds more feminine.
Yeah, I don't know. But she cast a languid, unimpressed, but wonderfully turquoise glance my way.
I think this was a different girl.
Oh, that's a different girl? Whatever. It's some other girl.
Swirl-quilled female.
Yeah, you're right. Fine. But yeah, just like, it just has that kind of shit in there that I feel like you would not read that in any other of these books. Even the Chronicles books. No one else is talking like this. Turquoise. I don't even know what that means. Yeah. A turquoise glance? What does that mean?
I presume. Here's the thing: they like turn colors and shit. Like there's a thing in the earlier thing where like Lakova is feeling like he's kind of feeling full of himself, and his quills glow pink with pride. So it
could be literal.
It could be. I read it as literal. But like also emotion, like somehow turquoise is supposed to represent some kind of emotion, but I don't understand it because I'm not a Ketran.
Yeah, I was just
There's
like,
wow, a part later where a wise one is feeling kind of ill, and they're like, he looked kind of orange. Like it's, they're weird.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. But Dophnal.
Yeah, the girl gamer.
a fake gamer girl, obviously.
Well, that feels kind of sexist.
Is it? Is
I
it
just
sexist to say that all girls just pretend to like video games? I'm asking. I don't want to be sexist. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, well, we'll let the listeners write in and tell us.
Okay, let us know because I don't want to say anything offensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she is a little bit more serious than them. She's apparently into passive censor theory, so she's like not as much of a loser fuck up.
If I didn't know this was written by a woman, it almost reads like, again, like the Ready Player One. This is the Ellimist is the self-insert, and this is the wouldn't it be cool if you knew a hot gamer girl that was into you kind of character.
It is very funny how much Aguela is just like the hot gamer girl, where you're like, whoa, she's like a year older than me. Oh man, and like presumably he's like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 or something like that, so like that actually means something here. You know,
They call him an
and it's like,
adolescent, whatever that means.
yeah, she's like cool, and she's and a gamer. Oh man. It is funny, like how Michael Grant must have influenced that. Like she really hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, and also the whole thing of them being chosen to go on the ship. I don't
Mhm.
know if I can think of an earlier example, but it does feel, now that I'm thinking about it, so much like a young adult trope, like Hunger Games, or there's always some kind of, tradition or ritual that it's like, oh, one kid gets chosen and it's our protagonist,
Mhm.
has that vibe to it.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I don't know if this is to its credit or not, but like rather than just being like, well, our protagonist happened to be chosen, there is kind of a sense of like, oh, he knew somebody who was important who was like checking him out
Yeah.
for it, like lack of a sponsored him or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean I think that also kind of feels like a thing that happens sometimes in
Okay,
these kinds of
that's
books,
fair.
where it's like, oh, I wasn't supposed to, but something, the Sorting Hat said Gryffindor, so here I go, or
Gotcha.
something,
Yeah,
you know. um, um, yeah, definitely immediately thought it seems obviously set up for them to be a romantic pairing.
yeah.
I did write down, are they gonna fuck? He also makes reference to, maybe you can help define a term for me.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly where it is, but he's like, I can't imagine Aguela as a dam or a DAM.
Yeah, damn.
Does that mean a mom? What does that mean?
It clearly means a mom in context. I don't know that I like see that. I don't know that I've seen that word outside of this book, to be honest with you. I probably have.
I assumed it was a made up term. I didn't even know if I just thought it was
I mean,
made up.
I guess the phrase is that he's talking about his parents as the dam and sire. And sire's a word.
That's
like
true.
You can
maybe,
sire a child. So I kind of
maybe.
assumed maybe, I don't know, it's an archaic, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could look it up. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, maybe I'll look it up.
Maybe.
Should I?
If you want.
Do you think I should do it now?
I
found it. It's a noun. The female parent of an animal, especially a domestic mammal. So yeah, it's like a farming breeding term. So yeah, I just thought it was some Ketron shit. Shows how dumb I am.
I didn't know.
Anyway.
Yeah. What about some of these? What about? Okay, so here's a good one.
I know what you're gonna say already, so go ahead.
Really? Because there's like 10 things here that I wasn't sure which one I was gonna say. Well, what about his?
Is it a terminology or something else?
I mean, I could have been. I was thinking about that, but I ended up flipping to.
Okay.
What about his friend Wormer?
Now, yeah.
What I like about his friend Wormer is that he uses the phrase "deep worms" as a swear. Like Tumen goes around being like, "Oh, deep worms" when he's pissed. One of his friends' gamer name is Wormer. So this is the guy whose gamer tag is like a slur or like motherfucker or something.
So when you said here's something good, I did assume you were going to talk about deep worms.
Okay,
So
deep worms is also good.
I was pretty close. That phrase is, yeah. At first I was confused, but then they use it a few times. Deep. I don't know if I took it as a curse as much as almost like saying my God, deep worms. Look at that.
Well, that is blasphemous. You shouldn't say that.
I'm sorry. I as a Bible head, I do know that.
Yeah, that's it's pretty.
I meant my goodness. Deep worms. What does that mean? What's the origin of deep worms? Worms that are deep down?
Yeah, they're probably the evil worms that live on the surface and eat you if you fall down there in the lava and acid. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you want?
No, that sounded right. That's what I wanted. So,
maybe they live in the crystals and they used to prey on the Ketrans, but then they dewormed most of their crystals in their advanced society.
That could be true. I don't have. You were asking really mainly about his name, which is funny, but I will just say I have like Lakova. I have almost no feelings about any of these gamer friends. I just don't. There's nothing to them. They're just whatever. They're just there so that you can feel like suspense of who's going to get chosen and all this stuff. Aguela has a little more, but
yeah, we'll see more Aguela. We won't really see more of the others. Inadar had the one game with him at the beginning. Wormer is literally just here.
Yeah. Inadar's okay. He's all right.
But I think Wormer has enough character just because she chose his name that way.
Wormer. How about another old saying? 4 globes, no clouds.
Yeah, which I guess means to stare at something.
I almost thought, does that mean like the lights are on but nobody's home?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but like later, so not even at this point, I don't think, but later they do reveal that Ketrans have 4 eyes, and he is like staring like slack-jawed at something. So like I guess you could read it as like the lights are on but nobody's home, but I was reading it as like he's like rapt attention type of thing.
Or
it's hard to.
I was thinking the opposite. Like, I guess no clouds implies clarity.
Probably.
Because I was thinking maybe it could be like you're daydreaming or something. But
there's a lot of shit like that in here that you just kind of, whatever. You read it how you read it.
That's part of the poetry of it.
That's right.
Okay, I don't know. Should we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we see a little bit more about like oldsters here. They talk about the oldsters. They talk about how like the speakers, he mentions again the same way we did with the engines, that this speaker thing is kind of obsolete. You could just put this message out over the Uninet, but like then the traditionalist oldster guys wouldn't still get to speak like they always did. So you got to have a place for them. They do that. They also refer to the speaker as being so old that his long quills are more rust red than clear.
Okay, so you get red.
Listen, I'm just trying to paint you a picture of Ketrans because they don't. It's very piecemeal.
Yeah, no, that's good because this, it helps because, like I said, I didn't pick up on most of it.
There's also a part here where he says, as he's flying, that he equalized buoyancy, straining his dorsal intakes. So, like, are they like weird balloon jets? Like, what are they?
I was just waiting for him to mention thermals, but didn't come up.
They don't get those on the crystal.
Which is a shame. But yeah,
that's true, yeah.
I won't claim to understand the physics of anything in reality, and it's not in this book either.
Yeah.
We do find out that he is 194th ranked out of 909 gamers registered in his set. I don't know what that means.
Now that's interesting. Because unless the set is very small, like very local, it feels like there should be a lot more.
Yeah, because they use that to say like I'm a loser. I'm only this place in the gaming rank, but it seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's like what, top
It's better than
20%, I
average.
guess.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're not famous, but you're doing good for yourself.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what he's saying is that like Ellimist is good enough that he feels like he should be at the top of the ranks, but he's like he's just like whatever average, and Lakoff is like, oh, you're kind of losing a lot more than you should. You are right on that aspect.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that where you're like, listen, I am the best player at the table here, obviously. It's just that I'm trying to do something like interesting and intelligent, whereas you're just kind of playing the dumb, obvious line. That's why I always lose.
All the time, constantly. Every time I play any game, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
because like here's the thing: we do know that the Uninet is only within their own crystal. Like they can't talk to the other crystals through the atmosphere. And they say that there are about 500,000 Ketrans on this particular crystal. So that means only 1 in 500 Ketrans is a gamer? And it feels, which would probably be like pretty reasonable if you're in the late 90s, but if you're talking about like the modern, if you're taking it from the perspective of everybody just grows up on the Uninet, that feels low, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this game is somewhat new. Do they say how
Hmm.
long it's been around? I don't know.
Yeah, or that could be the other thing we were talking about earlier. Is maybe there's a ton of games. This is just in the rankings for this game. This is the one he plays.
I
I don't know.
guess. Oh.
I don't know. Whatever. Just doing some world building for you.
Appreciated. Because there's not enough of that in this book.
All right. So the are we ready for the dance by
Let's
here?
dance. Let's dance.
Yeah, so the dance by the polar orbit high crystal is passing by. And so they're going to have a dance by, which is that's when the crystals pass close enough to each other that they can kind of fly over there and talk to each other. Because normally they wouldn't be able to communicate. So that's kind of interesting. Every couple of years or whatever they get news. Um
Mm.
so yeah, so Aguela shows up at his spar, his like little crystal perch to pick up two men for the dance by, and they see the polar crystal and they're like, oh shit, they're like building an airfoil on their crystal so they could fly. Holy shit! So they fly off together, and Aguela's in the lead. And Tumen starts kind of getting the hots for those gamer girl pods, you know? He realizes that Aguela has been moaning him. You ever been moaned by a gamer girl, John?
MONED for listeners. Moaned.
I think
This
this
has
is
never happened to me, no.
okay. I think this is the first read through of this out of
Mhm.
many, many, many that I
Yeah.
realized that was supposed to probably be short for pheromone.
Hey, I guess I'm ahead of the game because I did write that down as a note. I mean, I didn't get it right away, but I did think of it.
I guess it's probably because I read it as a kid when I didn't know that word, and I was just like, okay, I knew what it was
Yeah.
from context.
You just internalized it as that's just a word in the book. I mean,
Yeah, it's like mem.
I may have picked up on pheromone. I still can't. I'm not sure I know what it is, but we can. Are we there? Do you still need to say more?
I got more. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, Aguela moans. He's like, "What the fuck? That's a dirty. How could I'm a fellow gamer? How could she do that?" Anyway, they arrive at the dance by. They meet up with Oxagast and Menno from the Polar Orbit High Crystal, and they're both like really excited because they're like, "Oh shit, you're building an airfoil," and Menno is like, "Oh shit, you guys have a zero spaceship. What the hell?" So they start talking, and Menno and Oxagast reveal that they voted out their wise ones. So they don't have wise ones running their society. They're now a democracy. And they all like kind of start arguing about whether this is a good thing. And they're like talking about it in game terms because they're all gamers. We find out that Menno is this new type of like radical gamer who doesn't play minimalistically. They like to intrude on the game. So he'll be like, intrude in kind of a cringy way. Anyway, the dance by ends and they all head back after the conversation here.
Yeah, these polars are weird.
Yeah.
They like to dye their quills different colors or something.
Yeah.
Which I
I
like.
appreciate that they are like kind of the more progressive society to the
Yeah.
Equatorial's like more conservative one, and they like to dye their. It's like the oh the the like those crazy feminist liberals with their green hair and whatever.
Their tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it. But I related to Tumen there. He was like, "Why would you not want to keep the quills you're born with? Why would you want it to be green or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, these fucking hippies with their fucking tattoos and lip rings and shit. Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, you're
That's
famously
me.
very anti-tattoo.
Well, unless we're talking about all the things she said,
Yeah.
running through my head, running through my head, running through my head.
Right, exactly. Yeah, true.
Or if we're talking about
Uh-huh.
their other song.
I got a couple.
Yeah, what's the other one? Don't try to move on from this, because this is important.
Not gonna get us.
You're not gonna get us. You're not gonna get us. Yeah.
I could do more, but it would reveal me to be a loser. So
I think there's one. There's one more that I think I know,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I don't remember it now. Anyway,
All right.
if you have a tattoo, or if you're talking about deplane, that's another tattoo I like. Anyway,
Oh boy.
Look, I had to take a little breather. Okay, there's a lot going on. I needed something.
You getting moaned over there?
Okay, should we talk about no? Let's stick to the polars. Let's stick to the polars.
Okay.
Right?
Let's stick to the polars.
Yeah, the voting thing is kind of fascinating. I think. Like,
Yeah.
As a whole, that's a lot.
Yeah. Again, we're coming back to this. And they really drip feed you all these like broader implications about how Ketran society works. Like we're learning about how like, oh, we don't want to do the progressive thing because then the social cohesion. Oh, we got to keep the speakers so there's jobs for the old ones. Oh, you've got the wise ones that run society. Oh, but these guys are a democracy. It's interesting how they get you there.
Yeah, and I like how shocked they all are by it. Like, you voted? What?
Yeah, and they're like, they talk about like, oh, change isn't necessarily such a good thing. It won't. I don't know about this. Won't your society? It's also interesting how they present the airfoil as the perfect utopian solution, because they're like, unlike engines, with an airfoil, you'd still have to flap, just not as much. Right? Like, it's interesting that like Tumen's utopianism isn't we wouldn't have to work anymore. It's you'd still have to work, because like if you didn't have to work, well, it'd be anarchy. But
well, isn't that kind of? I feel like there's a fictional analog here. I don't know, but like a sort of a theory that's if humans have, I guess it's like the AI robot kind of a thing, that like if you take everything away from humans. What movie or book I read like just did this? I swear, I don't know, maybe you'll think of it. That humans would be like need a purpose, that if they I've been playing the video game Death Stranding. That's what it is. Anyway,
no Death Stranding. But...
And in that game, the idea is it's like post-apocalypse, and they basically had robots take over all of the package delivery, and that was like a whole thing. But that when robots just did everything for humans like went crazy and killed themselves because like they needed something to do. Which maybe this just sounds like a fucking another like pro workforce kind of a thing. I don't know. There's more to it than that, but yeah, I don't know. There's maybe something to that it's like you got to have like a little something to do so you feel useful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things because like there is some truth to the idea that people want to have a purpose and people want to be useful, and there's something to be said for the idea that if you don't have struggle, then you kind of end up as a fucking psychopath. Like rich people, but like there's also something to the idea of like I'm trying to remember where I saw the phrase like when you realized you were in the desert, we built a religion to worship thirst or whatever. It's like, oh, we have to work, so like we have to pretend that it's necessary to work and struggle, because otherwise why the fuck do we have to work and struggle? This sucks, kind of thing. And like it's definitely a controlling aspect of society. It's an interesting conundrum. It's funny because like I immediately, when you started describing that Death Stranding thing, I went to the dumb thing that I love from Kurt Vonnegut's Sirens of Titan.
Sure.
Where like the humans invent the robots and the robots do everything for them. And so then the humans are like, hey, robots, figure out what our purpose is for us, since like you do everything for us, so why don't you tell us what our purpose is? And the robots think about it, and they come back and they're like, our solution is that it doesn't really look like humans have any purpose at all. And the humans are like, well, there's nothing I hate more than something without a purpose, so fucking kill each other. And then the robots killed them all. Which is a very fun, very Vonnegut story.
Spoilers.
Well, that was just that wasn't the plot. That was just like an aside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, the polars are weird. It's the idea that these clans, I'm going to call them, I forget if they have a crystals, what they call them, something. I don't know what, like, in terms of dividing, like, they're the polars, but are they a clan or a branch or a something?
So I mean, this is the polar orbit high crystal, which I guess implies to me like so we have the equatorial crystal. So presumably this crystal orbits the planet on the equator, and the polar one presumably orbits through the poles. And then there's like high and low crystals, so I guess they're like, how high are they in the atmosphere? I don't know exactly, but like they're
I don't know.
It seems to be like, if you live on this crystal, you are one group because you can all talk through your crystal's uninet. And if you live on another crystal, you're another group because you only get to talk when there's a dance by.
Yeah, the idea that this extremely advanced society, but they're still cut off from big portions of their world. It's just very unlike any other sci-fi society I've ever read, I think.
Yeah, it's really funny because with that, I would be pushing back hard on the very advanced if they didn't have a Z spaceship that they were making. Because I would look at it and I would say, it's not that they're advanced, it's that in this particular area of tech, they're way more advanced than we are. And in these other areas, they're way less advanced than we are because of the world on which they live. And if they looked at our tech, if they looked at it in the right way, they would say, oh man, look at how good those guys are at like doing these crazy like things with like electricity and electromagnetic waves and communications. And if they looked at it in other ways, they'd be like, look at how backward their internet is. They don't understand how to do it at all yet.
Like Axe, who's like, hey, oh man, you guys have books? What the fuck? These things are crazy.
Except this actually makes sense because they live on a, I don't know, fiber optic network or something, as opposed to just books are better.
Okay, so the polars are crazy. I mean, Aguela is a hot gamer girl. She has lovely pods. I'm still not sure what a pod is. What does that mean? What are their pods?
It's so weird because there's a part of me that wants to, because of the root word and because you see them from behind, I want to say that they're her feet. But I'm not 100% sure that they are her feet.
Well, maybe there's fan art out there that can help us with this.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
And then the first mention, as we were saying, she moans. The first description of it is mones! ! She was spreading the mones for me. Spreading the mones.
Yes.
Which
listen,
in context,
you know those gamer girls. They're always listen. They're not really about the game. They're just always out there using their moans for male attention. I mean, focus on playing the game well. Don't just go out there moaning all the rant. It's a dirty trick. It's
is that
low.
Sexist? I don't think
it's
so.
It's not respectful. No, I don't think so. Write in if you think.
Tuman's like moans for free. He's so excited about this. But again, we're assuming in context now that to spread moans means like you're shooting off pheromones, like you're putting out a scent, kind of.
Yeah, she can.
Which you can intentionally do. I don't know if this is only females that can do this or if anyone can do moans. But
no one knows.
The way it's written initially, it sounds like it's a physical part of her body that she is spreading. So
yeah,
immediately I was like, this is fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I imagined, as a kid, I'm like imagining this as some kind of like aphrodisiac pollen shit that she's like, I mean, I get the basic premise, but like, yeah, it definitely is not the way that humans do it.
It's so weirdly sexual, but
yeah,
in a way you could get away with because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, again, like all this Ketron stuff, they don't work anything like us, but they just kind of assume that you know that, and it's like, listen, yeah, his quills were getting colored. What's that mean? You figure it out. I was getting moaned. What does that mean? You'll figure it out. Her pods were so lovely. Just figure it out. Don't
I
worry
mean,
about it.
there's so many of these I could call out. I love when they meet each other and they just say, well encountered. Which they all say simultaneously. So it's like 5 people at once or 4. Well encountered.
That's right. That's how you do it.
Just a community of freaky nerds.
Yeah. They 4-effed. They flew free, fast and furious.
This one, I almost lost it. I mean, I almost couldn't continue. Just to reiterate for listeners. The sentence is, we 4-effed. FOUR-EFFED. 4-effed. Flew free, fast, and furious. This is a common enough phrase in their culture to fly free, fast, and furious that they needed to come up with the shorthand of 4-effed.
Maybe this is an artifact of them being online all the time. It's like they're talking about like lolling instead of laughing.
But like, this one he decides to define for us, you know?
That's true, yeah.
He doesn't explain memmed, but 4-effed he's got to go into detail on.
Can you imagine just like writing a book that you for like a different culture and being like, I lolled, laughed out loud.
Would be good. Kay Abigail definitely just wrote we flew free, fast, and furious, and she was just looking at it for a minute. Was like, "Oh, that's funny. 4-Fs. That's what they'll say. That's what the thing they'll say now." Anyway,
I love
gamers. absolutely ridiculous. Also say like 2 sparkling clouds of Vayner pests. And
what's that?
And the polar was the future, and that crunched.
Yeah. There does seem to be. It is interesting because I feel like it feels like there is a stylistic difference between like when he's like, oh yeah, we 4-effed, that crunches because he's a gamer. And then when he's like, oh, as the old saying goes, like the old guys would say, as the old saying goes, 2 + 4 = 4 + 2, and no one the better. Like those feel like old people idioms, and his things feel like young people. Like there is some style there.
Yeah, some of it sounds very much like Firefly lingo, you know, and they like call stuff shiny.
Yeah.
Breezy and crunched and stuff like that. And yeah, some of it is like you said, more old school sounding. I just want to say I wrote down, is Krayak an intruder? ? So it's a thought I'm having. Maybe that's a little thing I'm thinking about.
Intrude. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Menno and intruding.
Do we have to?
The intruders. I do think that you should remember Menno. Menno's not going away.
Oh yeah, he comes back. Does he come back, or he just thinks about him later? No, he comes back.
He comes back. Yeah, we do get more Menno. Unlike Oxagast, who I don't think comes back. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, they're trolls, I guess, right? Or they're not really trolls. I don't know. They're the ones who think they want to go against the rules of the game, which maybe aren't actually the rules.
They're. You know what they are? They are. They're griefers.
They're griefers. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone fucking like. There's nothing in the game to stop them, but that's just not the way you play, and people don't like them. But they're super proud of the fact that they do it anyway.
Yeah, fucking intruders. I mean, I've said a lot about the structure of the phrasing of things in this book, but I think maybe my favorite is. Actually, I guess this is coming up. I guess I'll save this for the next section when they actually board the ship.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I'm done with this section.
Okay. We're done with the minimalism versus intruding and the conservative versus progressivism. All right. So they had their dance by, and the next day, Tumin and Aguela go to tour the MCQ-3, this Z spaceship, the MC. The ship is like a big crystal with like a force field around it to create an atmosphere bubble, and it has like engines that propel it, but there's still perches that you can sit on and pretend that you're lifting it so that you feel a little more comfortable, not weird about it. It's funny because like as they describe it, it doesn't sound anything like any real spaceship. Like it's more like a dome ship, but with less ship to it, I think. Um,
Mm.
Lakova shows them around and gives them like a tour of all like the features, including there's this like breakaway escape command center that can leave without most of the crew in case of catastrophic damage, and it's top secret, and they're like, holy shit, that's kind of, this shit's like real, what the fuck's going on here? um
Mhm.
so Lakova explains that there were some Z-space sensors that picked up some kind of alien ship nearby. And this is all top secret. They can't tell anybody. Uh, and they sent drones to investigate, but the alien ships shot down those drones. It seems like this ship belongs to the Capucins. And so the actual top secret mission of the MCQ-3 is not to explore, rather, it's to find the Capucin homeworld and negotiate peace to make sure that they don't like do some crazy violent bullshit. Um, and anyway, we keep going around the ship. We also meet Jiklet, who is a female tech. She trains them in like random stuff. We learn like the point of the non-essential crew is to like learn all kinds of random shit in case something goes wrong, so they have redundancy. And yeah, so like weeks go by with two men learning about the ship and all of that. All right.
Jiklet just sounds like a slur to me. I
It
don't
kind
feel
of
like
does. I understand.
it just seems offensive. This is the sentence as he's taking this tour because previously he's looked at the virtual the VR version of the ship to get ready.
Hmm.
And when he sees the difference, he says, "The problem with a sim is that it's a sim. Reality, on the other hand, well, it's real."
Hmm.
just 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 the most unnecessary, unhelpful description I've ever read. You
Listen,
see, a
it's.
sim is a sim, but reality is reality. So now you get it.
I
All
mean,
right.
listen. This is the thing. It's like how you think you can replace all your social interaction with fucking Snapchat or whatever, but it turns out face is important for your emotional growth as a human. You know what I mean? It's because it's not actually like a sim is a sim, but reality is, well, real.
Yeah, I think
I
I
don't
guess
know.
maybe that would play better if I could hear it as opposed to in writing. But
I feel you, but
um, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but this is where I think maybe they mentioned it. I guess they talked about it too, but this is where it seems like the fact that they have Z space and zero space becomes apparent.
Mhm,
Well, I don't know what I should. It's interesting that is a constant, which I mean makes sense, but it almost
mhm,
feels like the Ellimists or Ketrans should have something even beyond Z space. Like
mhm.
it's weird to have this amidst all this insane, weird culture and tech that is so alien to me. That there's this one thing that I'm like, oh yeah, that's that shit Axe knows about, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, the normal regular tech, Z space.
That's the thing that's the thing that grounds me here. That's how far gone I am now. Just
That's
like
pretty bad.
something I can cling to, Z space. Okay, I know about that.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that is, I feel like there is a heavy temptation to think of Ketrans as like super advanced because you keep saying this highly advanced species, and I think that's because you're coming into it with the idea that like, oh, the Ellimist is super advanced, but I think
Mm.
Ketrans are maybe not as advanced as like you naturally want to think that they are. Like I don't think that Ketrans are nearly as advanced as Andalites, for example.
Real. Oh,
I don't
interesting.
think so. Like they have Z space. They use Z
Yeah.
space comms and drones, but like it seems like they don't really travel through Z space. I
Mm.
bet Andalites could have figured out how to like punch radio waves across the background radiation. Like it feels like they have discovered Z space, but they haven't done much with it yet. Um, it's also not clear to me how much they discovered Z space because we also are finding out. We heard a little bit earlier, but we know that they are in contact with two alien races, the Illimin Confederacy and the
Oh yeah.
Generationals.
Yeah.
And the way that they talk about it, it feels like the Illimans and the Generationals come visit them. Like they didn't go out exploring. These two species were just wandering around checking out planets and were like, oh shit, there's guys on those crystals, and pop by occasionally and talk to them. Like it feels like they have an influx of alien tech, but they aren't really operating on that same level to me.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly don't have escafil devices.
No, they don't have that.
They don't have, they don't, like, it seems like the fact that they have this ship is a very big deal, whereas the Andalites just have fucking ships out the wazoo.
Yeah. And like, other than the mentions of Z-Space and this ship, none of their tech is really like beyond human tech, right? Like they've got these crazy advanced video games, but like we have advanced video games. It's not, you could build something like this.
I mean,
You've
this
got
is
a
all
Uninet, but
we're imagining this in our minds. Maybe in reality, the game is like PS1 graphics. Like it actually looks like total shit.
That is fully possible. Yeah. No, like we have no idea. You know, most of the other tech is like, oh, you could build an airfoil. You know, and then and like the weird superpower engines and space engines and Z space stuff, like maybe that's just shit that they grabbed from the Generationals, and they're like, okay, cool, we could use that. I guess I don't really know. We haven't really advanced that far.
Yeah, they just
not
happen to
clear.
have these crystals that just set themselves up for this communications tech. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they have that at a high level, but like nothing else.
Here's a question I just thought of because I was like, oh, they can't morph. What would they morph into? I don't think they describe any other animals or species living on their planet, do they?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it feels like they talk about worms. I don't know.
I guess.
It feels like they don't interact with other animals.
Are there bugs? Are there squirrels? Like what the fuck lives here?
Yeah, like like there's stuff on the surface. It feels like I don't know. Like, but like they evolved alongside these crystals, and they're the only things that live on these crystals. So they have this very they honestly have what could be considered like a peaceful utopian society, right? Like their ground and their communication is also their food. All they have to do is sit around on it and keep it in the air. And there's no predators, there's no prey, there's no anything. Like we'll find out later that like killing is this grave sin. They don't kill things. Yeah, no, it's like they just sit around and play games.
They do have closure, however.
Ah, yes, if you do something bad.
Which is basically a death sentence.
It's like exile effectively, but like because you're not on a crystal, you just kind of fly till you die.
Yeah, they kind of say that you'll like get like shot down to the surface. Is that what it is? And then it's just, isn't it just like lava and monsters and death or something?
I thought it was just like you can't be on the crystal, so you flew around until you couldn't, and then you have to land and then you die or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, the quote is they would undock me, cut me off to free fly till I died of starvation and loneliness, and finally augured into the lava fields below. So yeah, I guess that's yeah. It's kind of dark.
If you break the top secret thing.
And on that note, I did wonder, because Lakov was like, all right, you guys, non-essential teenagers, you're gonna be punished by death. Don't tell anyone this shit I'm about to tell you. Why are you fucking telling them this? I don't understand. Why do they have clearance for this?
Yeah, like this is, I could see being like, listen, this is the actual purpose of the ship, so you gotta know, but like, yeah, maybe you wait till you take off to tell them. I don't know.
It's weird. Lakova just, he likes them. He thinks they're cool. Yeah, so the entire point of this mission essentially is it's a peacemaking mission with the Capucins, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, that's the goal. Or if they can't make peace, then a fact-finding mission so that they know kind of what might be coming.
Yeah, which also, by the way, I'm really, every step of the way, I'm trying to make this mean something. I wrote here, are the Capucins the Krayak species? I'm just like, where something's gonna happen that means something here. Where is it? I'm really trying.
Maybe someday. We'll get there someday. We're only in first life. There's a lot more lives left.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't
Man.
know. It's cool. The ship is kind of cool. The mission is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
There's some more Aguela stuff. There's a part where Lakova compliments Aguela, and Tumen's like, she's not moaning him, is she? Um,
Yeah.
there's a bit later where he's like, thank God she's not moaning me anymore. Glad we're past that. But, like, why isn't she moaning me anymore? Did I do something wrong? It's pretty good.
Why is every Chronicles book has some fucking adolescent romance? I guess that's because what adolescents like to read about. But every
Yeah.
protagonist is like a level-headed, girl.
Listen. It's totally fine when your protagonist is like, supposed to be a kid and your target audience is like 13-year-olds, because like that's normal at that age.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's fine.
It's
It's
fine.
fine for us to read it and and comment
And make
on it.
jokes about it. Yeah, it's totally fine. What's the problem?
It's
Um
fine.
yeah,
It's
I do
fine.
think that they're also uh we they talk about how these Capucins are like the first like bad guy aliens they've ever met, so to speak, like that, which I think is kind of interesting that they've met multiple alien races, but they're all just like, oh yeah, we're friendly, we're just here to explore.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's kind of a fun thing, and so they never fight, they don't have to fight, they don't kill, and the aliens, so they don't like have weapons or anything. They're just like, oh geez, these Capucins, huh? What if they come in, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're very naive in a way. Like they really
Yeah.
don't have anything prepared for this.
Yeah, no, they got nothing to do here. Um, we learn a little bit about, and that's it, about the generationals. They all have numbers. Like we find out when the generationals, Generation 9547 first tried space travel, they lost 10% of the generationals. But like, who cares? Because they are, as he says, corporate life forms and with interchangeable members. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know, but like, God, Kay Applegate she had more ideas she wanted in here.
She was on a tear. She had stuff to deal with. I don't know. I
She
don't
sure
know how
did.
she does it, but she does it.
She sure did. Lakova does a little bit of the like the dark forest analogy thing here. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I
Um,
don't remember what.
I don't quite remember what it is, but it's like a thing about like why we don't hear interstellar life. It's like, imagine everyone is like a hunter in a dark forest and like you're afraid to call out because you don't know if you encounter another hunter if they're going to kill you or not. So like we're
Hmm.
all just kind of wandering through the dark forest armed and ready. But like Lakova does a whole thing where he's like, yeah, we think that it's so terrible we have this atmosphere that doesn't let us communicate with crystals, but maybe it's a good thing because it means we didn't send out all of our transmissions into space like the generationals were just blasting TV and radio out into space. And like, who knows who might have seen it? Could have been those Capucins kind of thing.
Those wacky Capucins. What is that?
Ah,
It makes me think of what's the stuff that makes peppers spicy? Capsaicin?
yeah, capsaicin. Yeah, I thought of that
Uh,
too.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe that could easily just be what it's supposed to be. I guess.
Could easily be. They're
I
spicy
also,
aliens.
also just every time it makes me think of capuchin monkeys.
Mm. Yes, that's also fair.
Spicy
S-
aliens.
a spicy monkey. Well, that's how I imagine them, as spicy monkeys.
Yeah, that's
All
good.
right. All right. We're going to
Okay.
talk about these Capucins.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so Tumen is doing his like training shit when all of a sudden, like, Equatorial High Crystal just kind of like fucking blows apart. There's just like massive explosions, shards of crystal everywhere. He's got like blood pouring from his ears. People are concussed. Everything's fucked. People are flying around. He like looks out of the MC and he sees there's this alien ship and it is just like blasting the shit out of the crystal. Um, it's just shooting it and blowing pieces off of it over and over. It like sprays flechettes over it, like tiny little metal hooks, which just like
Ooh.
shred all the Ketrins and coat it in this like blood flesh paste. And Tubin gets to watch as his entire crystal with 500,000 people on it breaks up into pieces and falls hundreds of miles to the ground. Like this all happens in a matter of minutes. Everyone he's ever known is dead. Um,
Whoops.
Whoops. So the ship powers up. The the people, the Ketrans on board are like, fuck. They've got force fields up, prepare to protect it from the blasts, but only for the moment. They got to get the fuck out of here. Um, a smaller one-man fighter type thing like drops out of the enemy spaceship and tries to engage the MC. It like pushes its way into their force field, and Tumen realizes that the ship is going to get in and kill them. So thinking quickly, he like breaks off a sharp spar from like one of the crystals, and he flies over the fighter and drops it, and it punctures through the fighter and impales the alien in the head and kills it. And the MCQ3 escapes into zero space and it's still carrying this small fighter with it in tow. Yeah, so all of a sudden shit's fucked.
Yeah, really, it's such an unusual choice to me that you spend so much time in the beginning of this book building up this mission, and it's such a big deal for them to be chosen, and oh my god, this crazy ship, what are we going to find, what it's going to be? Oh, we're talking about it, we're doing a dance, we're talking about it, I'm playing a game, I'm thinking about it, I'm getting ready. And it's like you spend one chapter on the ship and then mission's fucked, we got to go home. It's weird. I don't know. I like, it seems like this should be, and clearly there's other shit that we need to get to at some point. But if you were just reading it from the beginning, at least to me, it seemed like, I guess this is going to be the thing, or at least for a little while. It's like a blip. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's whatever. It works. Just
yeah, I mean, I think it works for me in the sense that like we build up this society and we build up this sense of normalcy so that when we do come in and destroy everything, like the impact is a little bit harder because we like if he was just like, yeah, I was just living a happy life on Ket, which you don't know anything about, and then we all died, you'd be like, I don't care that you all died. Like, you know what I mean? Like it would feel kind of like Eric the Chi telling the story of the Pemalites, which is fine if he's just telling the story, but if I'm supposed to like feel like I'm in it, I kind of need like 10 chapters of Pemalites, you know?
Well, I still, first of all, I think I would have liked just a little, if we could have had longer just on the ship, like if there was just some descriptions of just a couple of weeks of dealing with life, but you know, we don't have time for that. But more importantly, I think I still don't really, I think there's just so much information being thrown at me. I don't really have an emotional connection, maybe somewhat with Tumen himself. And like you know, it gets increasingly less meaningful as you spread out into the further characters. But when he just starts saying, oh yeah, everybody I ever knew on there is dead now, I don't feel devastated in a way that I probably should. I just am like, huh? That happened? Oh, okay. I'm still like trying to figure out what the fuck a capacin is. Like there's just so much shit going on. The impact I don't feel the way I think I should. I don't know.
It's also just that like there are scale issues, right? Like if I say the Yerks blew up my scoop and Barafin and my parents are dead, right? In some ways that hits harder than the Capacins blew up my crystal and 500,000 people died.
This is the problem of Alderaan versus 5 planets that we never heard of in Force Awakens.
Or even Alderaan versus Ben Kenobi, right?
Right,
like,
yes.
Like which one do you care about more?
Or Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. Yeah, it's...
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's
honestly, like... yeah, I care more about Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen than Alderaan.
For sure. Well, because you care about Luke. I mean, I guess you care about Leia, but you don't really know who she is when that happens.
Yeah, and also they get lines.
Right, they do. They serve blue milk.
That's right.
They go to the Tashi station.
Like, Inadar being dead hits me way more than, like, the Dam and Sire and Wise Ones. I don't care about them.
Yeah, well, because I'm also like...
said something.
I didn't even know
once
you had a Dam and Sire. Like, we never even addressed that.
Well, they kept sending him annoying message saying, come perch with me.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, but I also don't know I guess I am supposed to feel more emotional than but it almost feels like maybe I'm not. Maybe that's just not the
Yeah.
point of this.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like there's a lot of points throughout this, but like this is probably the part of the book that gets you the most like directly emotionally attached to the setting and characters in the series because like that's one of or not the series in this book because like one of the things is that when we as we start upping the scale, because you know that somehow by the end of this, we're going to be talking about an Ellimist. There's going to be like space time. He's going to be rewriting history or something. And like the scale is just so vast that like you're kind of more taking in concepts than being like, ah, yes, I can empathize with that. Um,
Yeah.
and so you've got that similar thing here. Like this is kind of, I guess, where that's starting, where you're like, yeah, this is the part where his whole race dies. What is I can I empathize with that? Do I know about that? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean I
Yeah.
will say that this scene sticks with me. Like as a kid, this scene made an impact. Like I remember this scene very like vividly as a kid.
Yeah, I can visualize it in my head. It is yeah, I do think it's impactful in that sense, even if not
Mhm.
emotionally, just I don't know, viscerally.
Yeah. I mean it is described pretty graphically.
Well, especially when it's fucked up when he takes this crystal and he basically kind of turns it into a makeshift spear and
Yeah, that too, yeah.
just crushes an alien's head with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can imagine a little like weird blue ET guy with the
Yeah.
crystal sticking out of his head and he's just kind of staring out of the cockpit with his dead eyes. It's
It's
gross
very
and
weird.
creepy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very unpleasant to imagine. We learn about there are 5 laws.
Yes. Yes, they do talk about that. I think that might be coming up. But yeah, they talk about
Oh,
the five
really?
laws. Or is it here?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know,
Maybe
wherever.
I
Wherever
don't.
we want to do the break, it doesn't matter. They do talk
Yeah,
about the five laws.
yeah. Well, he does do the killing, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first law. Sorry, the second law is take no sentient life.
Hmm.
The first law is lift for all. We don't. They haven't told us the other 3, so I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we find out.
Part might be disappointed. The
Fuck.
it's interesting that I kind of feel like that lift for all does not mean everybody gets lift. It kind of feels like you're
Oh yeah,
supposed to lift
you
for
must
everybody.
lift.
You
That's
must
right.
lift for the good of all.
The Inadar's like, do you even lift, bro?
That's what they say to Menno.
But yeah, it's
Uh,
it's a big impactful scene, but yeah, I don't know.
mhm.
I don't whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I do like the little bit in there where he's like, "Well, the thing, we don't really have weapons, but being a gamer, I have an intuitive understanding because they put weapons in the games and stuff."
Yeah, there's so many references to him being a gamer.
Very like a I don't know, Japanese like guns are banned and you can't get them, but like everybody knows what guns are because they're in like video games and a TV and stuff.
That's right. That's right. I know a lot of
Yeah.
different kinds of guns because they're in GoldenEye or whatever.
Right, yeah. All right. Okay, so let's keep going here. So they exit Z space. The MC fled into Z space and they pop into real space. So they are out in real space somewhere away from Ket. Um there were supposed to be 3 old ones who were in charge, but only one was on the ship, so all the rest are dead. So the ship is being run by the old one Farsight. Tumen mems him and is all like, "Hey, so I killed an alien and we still have the craft here stuck in the force field." So they all go off like a bunch of the Ketrans are like, "Oh shit," they all go off to like investigate it. Um Nobody wants to go into this thing because they're all like extreme claustrophobics, like they make Andalites look like they love living in boxes. And also there's a dead alien in there. So Tumen kind of has to be the one to go in there because he's the guy who killed him. So he volunteers, he
You guys
goes
want to see a
in.
dead alien?
That's right. I sure do. He goes into the cockpit. He like struggles not to panic being enclosed in there, and he tries to figure out how the thing works. Um, it's weird. There's like he's like, oh, there's physical controls instead of him working by mem. What's this? But he's got gamer's intuition. He's got like flying person intuition. So he's like, okay, I think I got these controls. Um, and this thing's got weapons too, which we need. Lakova gets in the crate with him. Is also freaking out, and they are like, okay, we're gonna work together to fly this thing. And so the MC jumps back to Ket. They jump back to Ket. They fly across the planet looking for the crystals, and time after time they find that there is just empty sky where there should be a crystal. Right? There should be a crystal there, though they blew that one up. They blew that one up, and they're like, oh fuck, they're killing everybody. Eventually, they come upon the Polar Orbit High Crystal, which is kind of booking it for cloud cover, and the Capucin ship is stalking them. And Tuman's like, Lakova, we got to go in, fire up the thrusters. He's not quite right about the controls, but he figures it out because he's not a ground-dwelling Capucin. Um, he attacks the Capucin ship, starts firing on it. He starts thinking of it as a game. He's like, okay, they're like the big, slow, strong ship. I'm the small, maneuverable ship. Gets into a dogfight and fires on it and manages to blow up this Capucin ship by directing them through. In fact, there's a point where he disables it, and Lakova's like, "Hooray, we did it!" And Tuman's like, "No, we gotta kill him," and blows him up. And they're like, "Ah." Anyway, they do that, and then they head back to confer with Farsight. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what happens.
Is that all you have to say?
No, I have more.
Okay.
We're starting to see some. I feel like I was starting to see some big comparisons here between the Ketrans and Andalites.
Hmm.
Namely, they both, I think, are somewhat claustrophobic.
Yes.
When he gets into this ship, he's like terrified because he can't see the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I feel like that's an Andalite thing.
100%, but I think that like it feels way more pronounced. Like
Yeah.
it feels
Oh,
like
yeah.
Andalites are like, yeah, I would take shelter in a scoop as long as there's not walls or whatever. Whereas the Ketrans, like, I have never been anywhere other than on the surface of a crystal. Nothing has ever been over my head before, and I'm having a panic attack. I can't even open my eyes.
Yeah. So that's they go fucking nuts. And also when he's talking about the controls and kind of it sounds like he's kind of got a superiority complex when he's like, oh man,
Yeah.
primitive fucking bullshit, these assholes.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because like I think to his mind because they're so advanced on like the computing stuff, they're like, why doesn't he just like directly shunt into the crystal network and mem it the way we would do? It's crazy that you would have to manipulate something with your hands. How backwards these. But I think there's also an element there of him being like these fuckers are the guys who killed me. How can that be? It's yeah, whatever. You
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. It seems that also we learn Ketrans don't have a tradition of burying their dead. Am I interpreting that correctly?
I think that's right. I think they just toss them off the crystal.
They say something like, "Oh, to keep them like around is unthinkable," which is that's also interesting. There's a lot of just little details about their culture that are just okay, wild.
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, and it kind of makes sense. Like, there's no like place for them to decay into soil. Like, they're on a crystal, not the earth. So it kind of makes sense that they might just like, drop them off. Or maybe because they eat the crystal, their body is composed of the same stuff, and they could have decomposed. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you could have written it like, oh yeah, they dissolve into a new crystal or something. I don't know. It could do anything, but that's
you can
what
do
it is.
whatever you want. Yeah,
That's the power of imagination.
mm-hmm.
I think this is also the part where I understood mones. Oh no, I guess I wrote it earlier that mones are probably pheromones, but here's where we get a secondary example of mones because
yes,
Lakova is giving off moans of fear.
Yes.
Pheromones. So
pheromones.
Nice.
Thank you.
Sounds like something Jonathan Crane would use.
Thanks.
Anyway. There's a famous Jonathan I share a name with. Um, but yeah, moans are not just about sex; they can also be fear. So, and I guess they can be involuntary as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
also to go back to more Catcher in Anatomy. He also gets something stabs him in his left pod
Yep.
last time too. So I don't know. There's a lot of you could try to draw a map in your head of what the fuck's going on with these creatures, but
Maybe you need to go find a drawing of a Ketron.
I probably do. I don't want to Google it
Okay.
right now,
Okay.
but
You could mem me the drawing whenever you get it.
sure. I'll mem it to you after I immerse to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, getting that shunt.
Um,
I do think there's like an interesting thing going on here with the Ellimist, or the Ellimist, with Tumen coping with this by like making it a game in a sense.
mm,
Like there's a whole thing with lack of a being all like it's just a game. That's how you're gonna deal with it, Tumen. It's just a game. You're the Ellimist and it's a game. Um so I think that is interesting in the way that he is able to like cope with or like sort of understand the violence in the dogfight through the lens of being a gamer, where it's like everybody else is kind of horrified by this and can't deal with it, but he's like, oh yeah, that's kind of like Call of Duty or whatever. I'll just
yes.
pretend it's Call of Duty so I don't have to think about it. um
Yeah, it is the classic. Oh, I know what to do here. Step aside. I
mhm.
bullseyed Womp Rats to bring another Star Wars reference into it.
Of course
Um,
you gotta.
yeah, why not? But yeah, it's like of course the one person who can do it. It's the thing everyone thought was not a useful skill turns out to be
Hmm.
vital.
Hmm.
And he kind of even develops a taste for murdering. Like he kind of likes it, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
into it.
because it's exciting. I mean, because that's the thing, it's exciting. The game is exciting even if it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
thing where he says like, now this is pod racing basically.
Yeah. Perfectly done. That is exactly what it is. Yeah, it's a
um
little bit it's a little bit fucked up, but he's the only one who
yeah,
kind of takes initiative for it. And they
yeah.
also we haven't really kind of glossed over the fact that I feel like everyone else is sort of giving him the cold shoulder and because they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, you did kill a guy." Like they're even though he
Yeah.
saved them, they're also kind of like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah, there's definitely this idea of like we are in a new world here, and like Two Min is the only guy who really truly gets it. Um, and that's
Mm,
and like there is something to be said for the idea that like that is his gamer's insight. Like his whole like he is trying to understand the rules by which you play and then adapt to them so as to make the best of it. Whereas the other people are like, this is the way the world is. This is the way the world has always been. I don't understand how it could be different. So like that's why he's the one taking the initiative. That's why he's the one getting the kills. You know, the part where he blows up the Capucin ship after they're disabled, and he says, the only win is a kill. That's the game. It's their game, their rules. I don't know. It's interesting.
yeah, I agree. It is
It's a
interesting.
fun little thing. Yeah, you know we've talked about interesting things before
Yeah,
here.
I
Yeah.
like when things are interesting, and this is interesting.
For sure.
It's not
Um,
boring.
yeah, I think it's well done. The part where they're constantly like looking through the sky. There's some good sentences in there that I think are evocative. There's that as they keep finding empty spaces where there should be something, that
Mm.
there's the whole thing where it's like they accept the unacceptable with mounting horror. I think it's good.
I am a little confused about. So they were. How long were they gone for on this ship? And then, like, were the Capucins wait? Did they know they were going to leave, and they waited for them to leave, and like now they're defenseless? So that's when they attacked, or it was just a coincidence, or like
I'm
how?
not sure what you mean in terms of they knew they were gonna.
Like it well, because they go out on this mission, right? And when they come back to Ket, isn't it basically
Well,
everything's
they
oh they
didn't
were
leave yet. Like they were still on the ship when the first attack happened, and then they ran away, and then
oh
they
they
come
didn't
back
go
to Ket.
anywhere at all?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
they were still docked when the crystal was getting blown up. Like Tumen was in the middle of doing shit for Jiklet, and then everything blew up, and then they were like, "Fuck, fuck, fuck, we got to get out of here."
So where the fuck were the Capucins? Like, where were they gonna go? Because don't they see the Capucins, don't they? Or no? Or just because they'd come to them at this time?
Yeah, it's like I know there's a Capucin ship nearby, so we got to put a ship together to leave and go talk to the Capucins. And then they're like, "Oh, they're already here and they're killing us. It's too
Oh.
late for diplomacy."
Okay, I was confused. I think I thought they did start going somewhere to find them.
I mean, they do zip out. Like as soon as the Capucins show up, they do zip out into zero space and take off and head
Uh,
out.
okay, sure.
I don't know.
Well, then I guess my other question then is just, it does seem like within the span of, I don't know, minutes, hours,
Hmm.
that they essentially wipe out almost all life on this world. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so it's it seems like it takes minutes for them to blow up one crystal, which kind of, in a sense, like it makes some sense here, right? Like you
Yeah.
can imagine that the crystals are fundamentally, like they're inherently unstable, right? Like they are too big to be floating without their ketrins. If you're blowing up the ketrins and dying, then at a certain point they're just falling or whatever. And also they have no defenses, they have no way. You can just like blow them up and then they'll collapse and then everybody's dead. Um, I think that the amount of time it takes them to go find the crystal can't be minutes. I don't know how many hours. It's not clear to me how long are they gone in zero space? How long are they fucking around with this crate for? Is it days? Is it hours? Is it 30 minutes? That's not so clear to me. I do think that it makes sense they can wipe out a huge percentage of this planet quickly because um like you have to think, like, what if every major city on Earth was the only place where there was life, right? All I have, like, if I blow up Chicago and Detroit, nobody's alive in the Midwest anymore. That's it. I don't have to blanket the planet in hellfire. I just have to bomb those two cities. Then the only real
Uh,
question, and none of them have defenses, and if I blow them up, nobody can survive in the ruins because the ruins plummet to the ground and everybody dies. Um, so it kind of makes sense that you can just kind of go around, boom, crystal dead, boom, crystal dead, boom, crystal dead in hours or days.
yeah.
Um, it's also not clear that how much of it is actually gone. Like it feels like they come back and they're like, okay, they've gotten dozens of crystals. Oh, some of them they didn't get because there's one, kind of thing.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not clear. It's not
So
clear.
it so it's less that the Capucins have such advanced weaponry, or maybe it is that too, but more that there just aren't that many Ketrans, and also that they just live on a floating island. So like, if you,
Yeah.
it's just so easy to take it down. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, if instead of 300 million people in America, you had like I don't know, 150 million people and it was only the major cities and you just had to find all like I don't know, 20 of them and blow them up.
yeah. It's
Then
just
it's like, okay,
wild
well then
to.
America's gone kind of
I
thing.
mean, I guess Alderaan is is even crazier, but
Yeah.
it is just hard to conceive of just, oh, they came back and via blink and there they go. There goes a
Mhm.
species. Well, I guess they kind of set that up in the beginning with the Panga bands, didn't they?
Mhm. Yeah, I suppose. Um yeah, and I mean like I said, we don't know that the Ketrans are actually like, we
Right.
don't know what percentage of the crystals are gone at this point. We just know that, like, none of them can defend themselves. They can't communicate with each other. They're basically fucked. The
Yeah.
ship's just going to go around and pick them off one by one until there aren't any more.
All right. I feel like we should quote unquote wrap this up, even though it's not. The last section is still has some stuff in it. It's not our usual speed round of a final Animorphs section.
Oh no. Oh no. There's a lot more here.
We should
Okay.
get to it.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. So Tumen and lack of a return to the ship. There's this officious female pink named Tachilla. Uh, but he's like, I'm the one who blew up the Capucin ship, and Techila's like, hey, Farsight, here's this Tumen guy. She's like trying to tie herself to him politically. They debrief Farsight, and they're like, I bet there's a lot more Capucin ships. I know we blew up this one, but I bet there's more, and we can't really fight them because, after all, that's how it would be in the game, and nobody likes that, and people start arguing. We meet jarred brass from the polar crystal, and there's a contingent of Ketrans who come on there to talk to them from the polars. And they start being like, oh, we don't accept you, Farsight, because we're a democracy. There's a bunch of politics. They start yelling. Tumen's like, deep worm, shut the fuck up, you losers. Menno shows up and he's like, Tumen's right, fuck you guys. If we're in a new game, Menno's here. And we find out basically what happened, which is that the polars did indeed, they actually did figure out how to broadcast through the atmosphere. They were keeping it secret, but they did. And they were sending wave signals out into space, just like Lakova was like, ooh, that could be dangerous earlier. As to test out the load capacity, they sent out the game data. So the Capucins saw the games. They thought that the games were real. They thought that the Ketrans were these weird meddlers who went in and annihilated species for fun. And they were like, oh, those evil Ketrans, so they showed up to kill all the Ketrans. More Capucin ships do indeed show up. They blow up the polar crystal, so now all the polars are dead, and the only polars left alive are Menno and Jarred Brass and the ones who are on the MC. And they're like, listen, we don't have the firepower. They've got more ships. We're not going to keep winning this. We have no choice. We have to leave. And Lakova's like, but everyone's going to die. Everyone on our planet will get genocided. And it's like, yep, but that's the only play. The 72 Ketrans aboard the MC are going to escape to zero space, and the rest of the Ketrans all die in a genocide.
And it's Battlestar Galactica now.
Yes, it is Battlestar. You're right. This is the part where Farsight looks orange.
Oh, yeah. Which I just thought, I just thought probably it's a Trump analogy.
Oh, yes, makes sense, of course.
Yeah, the orange buffoon.
Yeah, well, here's where we get Menno and Tumen, the young gamers, are the only ones who can accept the truth, whereas all the oldsters are like, politics, power, grabbing, the old ways, the old democracy versus wise. It's not about that anymore. It's about genocide and escaping in this ship kind of thing.
I do like that.
We're doing Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I like that everyone's just squabbling and they all kind of suck at their jobs and they are incapable of actually making decisions or progressing the mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's relatable. It feels realistic.
It does feel very realistic that the politicians only care about the politics of their own power and they can't cope with the reality of the situation. That feels
old
right.
Motherfuckers.
Feels correct.
I mean, okay, it's really a twist. Is what it is.
Yeah, the twist. It's a twist.
This is like if aliens saw us playing Call of Duty and thought that's real. Although, well, a lot of those are based on real wars, so it's a bad example. But that's essentially what happens, is that they're like, they think these video games are real, so they must, so the Capucins think they're the good guys.
Yeah, the Capucins think, it's similar to when Visser 1 came to Earth and saw Star Trek and was like, how can they be moving at a multiple of light speed? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess this is a theme that resonates with KA.
Yeah.
What if aliens thought fiction was real? Crazy.
What if
aliens who are intelligent enough to develop space travel but who couldn't quite grasp the concept of fiction?
Yeah. I mean, you could easily do something like, a lot of the first signals that were powerful enough from our planet to punch into space. You look at that time frame and you're like, what if aliens saw the Nazi transmissions and they get that and they're like, oh, it's a planet full of Nazis. We better go down and kill them.
The problem is it's hard to make that analogy because in the case of humans, they would be right. we do deserve to be wiped out by an alien species in a way the Ketrans do not. But
yeah, you're right.
But otherwise, it's a decent illustration of what's happening here. I don't know what I'm supposed to take away from this, and there's more coming. There's more coming. But am I supposed to be like, I don't think the moral here is that, oh, video games are bad because what if
No.
someone thinks they're real? but
No.
but I don't know what the message what it is if it's not that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's some talk about like, do you want to do the old conservative way or the new adapting way? How should I be
Yeah.
intrusive? Like, is it bad to be intrusive or like isolationist? But like, even with all of that, it doesn't really feel like this is going for any kind of moral or greater thematic idea. Like that is, and I think I said that up top. Like with the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, we're trying to do this like, maybe like a Vietnam allegory or something like
Yeah.
that. And with this, it's like, what's the It's not. It's this grand, crazy, epic scale space god fantasy opera thing. Like, don't worry about it. It's this crazy ass set piece. Look at the shit that's happening. It doesn't I feel like I have very little to say in terms of like, let's analyze this type of thing. It's mostly
Yeah.
just, hey, Ketrans, look at
It
them.
does it does to me feel just a little silly. Like just the fact that they did all this because of a video game.
Mhm,
It feels I don't like maybe they will go dive deeper into that in the next sections and maybe I'll like it more. Everything around it does have the feel of this epic space battle opera thing, but
mhm.
just this oh yeah, it's a video game. It's like I don't I don't know. They didn't no none of the Capucins thought, hey, what if we just kind of ask them about it? Like
Mhm.
they didn't like are they capable of communication? They can't reach out and just say, "Hey, well, why are you killing people?" And then they could have said, "Oh yeah, it's not real. Don't worry about it." I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't think that you're going to get more exploration on that front. I think that the more resonant thing that you're going to see throughout the story it's going to be something more akin to like throughout the history of the Ellimist and all this shit. Like the one constant is that like in some way or another, the most important thing is games. Right? As a kid, he likes games. There's the like the Capucins, they blow him up because of games. The Ellimist is able to like because he is able to think in terms of like, oh, this is a game. He's able to outmaneuver them. He's able to understand when it's time to retreat from Ket because it's a game. Like that kind of thing. Like it all comes down to games. Is I think really more what you're gonna see than that.
Games all the way down. And as a
Games all the way
gamer,
down. Yeah.
I do find that concept very interesting, and I
Hmm.
and generally speaking, I think I like to think about what games mean in our society and how we interact
Hmm.
with them and why we like them and what we like about them.
Hmm.
So that could yeah, I could maybe that will go somewhere that I really appreciate. Right now the full picture is not quite clear to me.
Hmm.
But it's something. Uh
Yeah. Well, you can use
yeah.
it as inspiration because I know how you always love to be all like, oh, you could make a board game out of this. You could make a
Mhm,
video
mhm.
game out of this. This can be your inspiration. This is the dogfighting video game with the
Oh
Capucin
yeah,
ships. This is the alien
definitely.
civilizations game.
Mhm.
Whatever.
Yeah, pretty A to B connections there. Easy to make
Yeah.
that happen.
Maybe there's something with moving crystals around a planet, and
Mm.
they get to transfer resources when they are in the
Oh
same
yeah, yeah,
square.
yeah. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. All that stuff. Um, most important thing from this whole book,
Hmm.
the Ketrans at one point. I don't remember who says it. It's in here somewhere. They use the term "mother sky."
Oh yeah, they do. That
What
that
the
kind of
fuck is
feels
that about?
That kind of feels like that was just
Did she
in
just
her head.
forget? She just likes
Yeah,
that
right?
phrase and she forgot the Hork-Bajir say that?
I'm gonna spoil you a little bit. The Ketrans do not evolve into the Hork-Bajir or the Arn.
Yeah, I just was like, "What? That's you can't just say that. That's another people's thing. What are
Yeah.
you doing? What do you got Father Deep too? What the fuck's going
Th-
on over there?"
They're deep worms, John.
They just happened to come up with that same phrase. It should be
Uh,
sire or it should be damn sky.
it should be that damn sky.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
weird to see.
What did the
Uh,
Ketron say when his mom wouldn't stop bugging him?
what?
Damn.
I guess you know what Tumen's favorite drink is?
No, what is it?
Sierra Ellimist.
Ooh, that's pretty. That's pretty good. I
Yeah,
like that.
you know what the Ellimist says when he needs you to hang on?
Oh, what does he say?
He says, "Just
Is
give
it
me
2
2
minutes, please?
minutes." Yeah. Yeah. There's a good one. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, there are. It's true.
So I am still at the end of this first half of this Chronicles here.
Mm-hmm.
I won't repeat everything I said at the beginning, but all that stands as to not knowing how to feel about this book. But in terms of the larger picture, I still do not really know why, other than he chose this name,
Mm-hmm.
why is he the Ellimist? Clearly now, it seems like in a matter of time, he may be the only Ketron because they're almost all dead. At least that we know of. And he is the only Ellimist. We do know that now, at least I don't know. I actually don't know that, I guess. It seems that way. Why is he all powerful? I don't know. Who's Krayak? Where does Krayak come from? I don't know. Why do they care? When do they start caring about Yerks? I don't know. How far in the future is that? How old is the Ellimist in our Animorphs timeline? I don't know. I know, this section certainly introduces more questions than it answers, I think. It kind of tells you, like, okay, we know technically what the Ellimist is and how he started and what his species is and a lot of shit about his species, but I don't think any of that matters to the plot of Animorphs.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, this, like I said, this part matters to, like, who is. I think really. I don't know if this is something I should discuss later, but like, I think really what the reason this part matters is less because it specifically matters to like how he became the Ellimist and who is Krayak and the like where we are on the timeline and what are the Yerks and all those questions you asked. I think it matters more because like in a very real sense, the Ellimist, despite all the being the god thing he is, he sees himself still as Tumen, right? He's like, I'm Tumen. I'm Tumen the Ketron.
I'm
Because
Tumen.
that's, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like if you ascended to godhood in like 200 million years, you'd be like, yeah, but I still see myself. I know I'm calling myself like the Great Quentz, but like, I still see myself as Jonathan the Human.
Yeah, like Superman. Like, any of those
Sure.
guys. He's just
Sure.
a good old boy from Kansas. Well, I don't know if he's a good old boy.
Yeah.
He's a proud boy, let's say that.
Well, let's say that.
Yeah, and it's also a tricky thing because up until now, like I said, the Ellimist is Gandalf. He's not I mean, even more than Gandalf, because Gandalf is still like sort of you're still introduced to him with like a human, like fun, relatable side. He's more like Sauron. He's like he's not a guy with a personality. He's this force in the universe. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, he has a crush and he plays video games. Like, wait, what the fuck? I don't know. I'm still waiting to see if this book will convince me that was the right direction to take this guy.
Well, like I said, this is getting you to know what is the Ellimist self-image. Who was he? Why does he? How does he think of himself? The second half will be a far more about like what. Most of the questions that you asked will get answered. I don't. You can determine if you're satisfied, but like it does get into all that stuff. So
I'm excited, and I'll say this too. Like, certainly in the beginning, I was very excited reading about the Pangabands and the Gunshow Wave. I was overwhelmed and confused, but I was, it does. It hits the side of the part of me that enjoys all the stupid lore dumps and the backstories of Star Wars shit and Avatar shit and Hork-Bajir shit and all. It's all that.
Yeah.
It taps into that stuff that I enjoy, but I do think as the first life went on and as we started to get into the Capucins and the battling stuff and the ship descriptions, I wasn't quite as engaged. It started to feel a little more mundane and a little just kind of like, okay, so they're just aliens who fight each other, I guess. I don't know.
Well, there's plenty more. There's plenty. I will say the craziest, weirdest shit she puts in this book is yet to come. There's plenty more, and in fact, like you'll notice that Second Life and Third Life are each half the length of this, and they're gonna, you might imagine, completely upend the status quo of what's going on each. So just there's a lot more where that came from.
Well, listeners, you could have gone to see Kinds of Kindness or Horizon, a Western
Zero Dawn
Saga chapter 1, whatever the fuck it's called. But instead, you spent 3 hours of your life listening to this, and it's just the first half.
Yeah.
But we don't have any pop culture to get to, so that's it.
Yeah, crazy how she managed that.
Yeah, Tumen does not talk about Party of Five or anything like that in this book.
Tumen does not get that. He only knows alien civilization.
Right. Yeah. I could have counted that. I could have done all the Ketrin pop culture. So we're done. You can email us again, theyerkyboys@gmail.com, or you can do our Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. This week we are going to be watching the James Gunn movie Slither. So not really relevant to this section of the Ellimist, but more relevant to Animorphs at large.
Yeah, look forward to that. Pay us for that.
Look forward to paying us.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about the Ellimist Chronicles' Second and Third Life, in which Tumen turns into the Ellimist on the Yerky Boys.